And it starts right now.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Wrestling Epicenter here on the Blaze 1260 AM. It's your boy Chuck D back from his hiatus. Is none other than James Walsh. We have a very special show for you this week. We have Francine that is on the phone waiting to get on the line here momentarily. James Walsh is back, as I said, from his hiatus.
Yes,
James
I am.
Walsh, it's good to have you back here, buddy.
As you nicknamed me over the hiatus, the Kooky Bastard.
Yes, the Kooky Bastard is back with us. But we're going to play a quick little intro we threw together that'll help you guys get a better understanding of the direction our show is taking. So sit back, listen to this, and enjoy.
Is to give her 2 tickets to the gun show.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is the gun show here this
Yeah!
week, as we have both Tylene Buck and a.k.a. Major Guns, I should say, as well as the formerly known as Billy Gunn, who's now Kip James over in TNA.
Yeah, it pretty much doesn't work unless you actually call them the gun names.
Well, yeah, it's Billy Gunn and Major Guns. We have
you
on the show.
You almost said it's the gun show featuring Tylene Buck and Kip James. Good job, boy. Good job.
Well, you know, such is life. Such is life. Well, as I said before, we got a good show for you. We have our usual Raw recap. We're going to run over some TNA news and notes as well. We're also going to delve into some SmackDown a little bit later on in the show. But at this point in time, we want to go ahead and get Francine on the phone. Francine, are you with us?
I'm here. How are you?
Oh, it's so good to hear you every Wednesday here on the Wrestling Epicenter, Francine.
Thank you.
How are you?
Hi, James. I'm good. I'm actually just laying in bed right now. I just got done watching The Family Guy, so.
You love that show too, don't you?
I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. You and me finally have something in common instead of you and Chuck. I got to admit, I sat down and watched an episode of 6 Feet Under the other day, and I did not like it at all. But,
oh, no.
But I love The Family Guy, so at least there's something.
Okay, well, I'll let you slide for that one, yeah.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, Francine, the season finale of 6 Feet Under was phenomenal.
I know. I still haven't caught up. Please don't.
Oh, I'm not going to ruin it for you. I'm just saying you're going to be surprised it was something else.
I know. My mom was crying, and she so wanted me to like sit there and let her explain it to me, but I was like, no, I'm going to watch it.
Well, it was kind of touching in a way. Like, I was a little choked up. I don't know.
I have to. Okay, enough. Stop.
Maybe that makes me a little sensitive. Wussy, but I don't know.
You've discovered your feminine side. It's all good.
I don't know if that's all good or not.
It's okay.
Well, let me be
Embrace it.
Let me be the first to thank you once again for filling in for me last week. You did a sensational job. Every bit of email that we got was absolutely positive. Thank you so much for doing such a phenomenal job and spending so much time with us.
I'm so glad, and we did miss you, but I highly enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was good, man. You ought to look into doing some serious radio, Francine.
You know what? I would love to someday. I mean, I was a little nervous going into it, but if you got positive feedback, you know, that's good to hear. I'm very excited about it. So.
All you got to do is have the arrogance to actually believe that people want to hear what you have to say.
Well, in wrestling, I know what I'm talking about, so I kind of figured I could do it, but it's always a little intimidating because I've always been a guest, but I never, like, actually hosted a whole show where I had to talk about things other than myself. You know what I mean? But it was a challenge, but it was a lot of fun, and whenever you need me, I am here for you guys.
Well, let me ask you this. You did say a couple things that were a little bit more out of your element than usual last week. Did anybody happen to hear this and mention it to you, or was this pretty much undetected by the boys?
Oh, you mean inside the wrestling circle?
Yeah.
No, nobody said anything.
Okay, good. I didn't want to get you in trouble.
I gotta get them to listen to the show.
Yeah, it would be nice. Wait, right now we're already getting to the point where we keep shutting down the service every week because too many people are listening, so...
Well, a lot of the fans actually told me that they went over from my website and listened, and they really enjoyed it, so... You know, like we said before, your fans are crossing over to my site, mine are crossing over to your site, so it's all good.
It is all good. We got a lot of feedback on your comments about the whole Animal and Heidenreich angle.
I agree with you 100%. I guarantee you, if Hawk could, he'd shoot Animal down with a lightning bolt right now just for doing this.
Yeah, you know what? I said to myself, should I say it? And then I said, well, it's the way I feel, you know. It's nothing negative toward anybody there, and like I said, John deserves a push just like anybody else, but I still think they could have did it a different way, and I do think it's a little disrespectful. But
a lot of people on our site were in complete agreement with you.
I'll tell you what, though, and you know Missy well, and Missy and Hawk used to be an item, but Hawk did not hide his feelings about the WWE. He hated it. And I think just the fact that they're there using the Road Warriors or Legion of Doom name is enough to pretty much upset him, and I find it a little bit distasteful, and I'm a little bothered by it myself.
Yeah, but you know, it's all about making money, and if they can rehash it and make money, then hey, you know, they're gonna do it. But just for the sake of the dead, it's like, come on, you know. But hey, not everybody thinks the same, and everybody's entitled to do what they want, especially Vince McMahon. It's his company, so.
Fair point. Yeah. Well, we were kind of knocking, on kind of a happier note, I should say, we were kind of knocking around ideas of what we wanted to talk with you today off the wrestling topics. We kind of came up with this kooky little idea that we discuss famous people that we've all met.
The kooky bastard did.
So I figured you probably have met some pretty interesting famous people in your travels. Is that correct?
Yeah, I met some movie and television stars and stuff like that.
Like, I was talking with someone about this the other day, about how I've actually met Brandy out here. I've met Jenna Jameson. I've had the pleasure of meeting Alice Cooper. I actually kind of knocked him over in the mall out here, unfortunately.
Well, are you calling porn stars A-listers now?
Well, Jenna Jameson...
I'm kidding. Jenna worked with us in ECW, so I met her a couple times.
Yeah,
yeah.
I've talked to her a couple times. She seems nice enough. I'm not saying you know she's super famous or anything, but nonetheless, it's still something that people are like, "Oh, you met her?" I'm like, "Hell yeah!"
Oh, I was totally making a joke. No, I mean they're they're film stars.
Yeah.
Be it adult entertainment, but they're still film stars. So yeah, they're celebrities in their own right.
You know, I actually took a class in college about how I'd actually portray or prove, I should say, whether or not pornography was actually real film, because of its artistic integrity. And it was kind of like a 20-page thesis paper I had to end up writing. And so I delved into every aspect of this, and I firmly came to the conclusion that it actually is a form of art and film.
Chuck is a Chuck is a porn monger, by the way.
No,
right.
Come on now.
Oh, come on.
No, I think I noticed that because the other day I went to your site and I was looking at the boards, and Chuck posts quite a lot of nudie pictures.
Well, you know...
They're all from Chuck, and I was like, oh, very impressive. That's very good.
Hey, listen. No.
I was against that idea, just for the record.
You know,
for the men, I'm being sick right now hearing this.
I am not
BS.
knocking Chuck. I'm not knocking you in any way. I think it's, you know, it's good for you to include that aspect to get more people to view the message board. I'm not against it. I'm not, you know, it's not me. I don't care what other women do with their bodies. It's not me, and it's not embarrassing to me in any way. So you guys do what you need to do.
Well, as I always said when I started out to build these forums, I always said to myself, I want to include everything possible. So yeah, I may be the same guy that brought you some porn, but I'm the same guy that brought you, you know, Professional Golf Association topic in a wrestling board.
Is bestiality next? I mean, are you going in every aspect here?
No, that
are you going to draw the line, Chuck, is what I'm asking.
I draw the line, and I draw the line on the website. If you look at our photo galleries, we draw the line at bikinis. I refuse
Well,
to
that's
go...
you, James, but
Yes.
I'm talking to Chuck right now.
Oh, okay. I'll back off. Chuck, take it.
Yeah, I ain't got nothing to say on this topic right now. You know, there's very few times I actually find myself on the radio with my tongue tied.
Chuck, it's playful banter. You got to go back and forth. It's okay.
I can't. I don't have anything to say anymore, though.
He's burned.
You're doing a good job, kid. Keep it up. You're fine.
I'm trying.
You're fine.
Anyway, back to the topic at hand.
Yes, sir.
Hey, oh boy. Why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the famous people you've met in your time in travels?
I told you I just did that Hollywood signing last month, and there was a plethora of TV stars, and like I told you, there was Erin Moran, who was Joni on Happy Days. There was Priscilla Barnes, who was, I forget her name, but she was on Three's Company as Chrissy's cousin. Yes, Terry.
Yep.
Frank Stallone was there. I talked to him for a while. Ron Jeremy was walking around, who is probably one of the biggest porn names you'll ever get.
And probably one of Chuck's favorites.
Yeah, I was about to say Chuck's
there you
hero.
go, see?
Oh, whatever.
Whatever floats your boat. Anyway, you know, Scotty Schwartz was there from the Toy and the Christmas Story movies, and you know, I met Jason Hervey from the Wonder Years, and
Missy's ex-boyfriend.
Yes, exactly.
Listen to this kid. He's like a gossip column sitting right next to me.
Oh, come on. I know Missy's sister.
He knows, we went over this. He knows his wrestling, and he knows his behind-the-scenes stuff.
I know, and I know my music, but that's about it.
And Chuck knows about porn, so you're a great combination.
No. I guess, because that's all there is to life, right?
also
Wrestling,
know
backstage
That's all you
gossip,
need.
and porn.
I also know
That's all you
classic.
need.
I also know classic TV, but every time I make a joke about it, Chuck yells at me because he doesn't get it. So, go
Well,
home.
you got to give a little and get a little. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You guys have to compromise.
Yeah.
You
Good
really
luck.
do. It's it's not white or black. It's gray. Everybody.
Well, James actually has a few interesting people he's met. James,
Okay.
you got to share these guys with us, man, because it's something else. He's
Well-
met the most eclectic mix of people I think I've heard of.
Well, I'm only going to name two just because I don't want to sound like an idiot who stalks these weirdo people. But I actually met Frank Perdue, who used to be the turkey guy or chicken guy in the supermarket once. And the funny thing was, he actually looked like a chicken. He was so
You
old.
met
He
him
had
in the supermarket?
Yeah, he was signing autographs of his autobiography. And he
That's
had
awesome.
he had a horrible turkey neck too, and it was kind of funny because I'm thinking
Oh,
he should
he's
sell.
dead. Leave him alone. That's just sad.
He is dead. He died. And the other one I met was at the Garden State Plaza Mall in New Jersey, and that was Michael Jackson. And that was that was an experience I will never forget. He
Now,
walked.
was this pre-weirdo or
Oh, this was full-fledged weirdo mode.
Was there ever
this was
pre-weirdo?
the third nose job and all that good stuff? Like,
Did you ever watch that interview with him that he did, that like supposedly in-depth truth interview where he
Yes.
talked about everything? And didn't it seem like to you he was basically lying 90% of the time?
yeah, he looked really uncomfortable. Yeah.
I'm getting the feeling you might like Michael Jackson.
I used to. Growing up, I did, like, when the whole Thriller album came out, yeah, I did like him.
That was a great album
But
too.
yeah, it was a phenomenal album, and he's a great talent. His personal life leads me to,
Leads me
believe
astray
that
to him as well.
he's
Yeah.
a little weird, but
Well, let me finish this story then.
allegedly. You have to use the word allegedly.
Yeah, he got
We're
off.
not there.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's been acquitted numerous
I will say
times.
this though. I said it was a weird experience, and here's why it was a weird experience. I saw him while I was walking through the mall. I forget where I was going, some electronics store, I guess. And I just saw this big group of kids, probably all about 6 to 12 years old. I was wondering
There
what
you
the
go.
hell's going on there. And then I see this towering figure above him, and it looked like a really ugly white woman, and it was Michael Jackson. So there you
Well,
go.
The kids should have gave it away.
Yeah, kind of
Right
figured.
there.
Yeah.
All right, Francine.
Oh, I also met Billy Corrigan.
Oh, Smashing Pumpkins dude, right?
Smashing Pumpkins, cool guy, very, very fun and good to talk to and nice. So,
Now
he's really cool.
Was he another rocker that actually had to go to rehab, or am I thinking of maybe the Scott Weiland guy?
Scott
I
Weiland.
don't.
Scott
Yeah,
Weiland actually tours, and he has to have an ambulance backstage because they're afraid that he's so drugged up he might die on the stage.
That's really sad.
Is that a
the-
true story?
That's the true story. That happened.
Yeah, that's really sad. 'Cause
Velvet Revolver
I like
came
him
here.
too.
Yeah, Velvet Revolver came here to Celebrity, and they actually had to have an ambulance on right behind the stage just in case he'd die on the stage because he was so drugged up. That's pretty
Wow.
damn frightening to me.
What a way to live, huh?
No kidding. All right, Francine, we're going to move along here. We're going to keep you on to do our Raw recap with us,
Okay.
if we can. We're going to go along. We're going to play our Tylene Buck interview. We'll get back with you in just a minute. Okay?
Okay.
Is
All
that
right.
cool with you?
Yep.
Okay.
So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, coming up next, we have Tylene Buck interview. It's a good 10-minute interview. It's a lot longer than that. You can always check out WrestlingEpicenter.com after the show, as that'll be posted and archived here this evening.
In its entirety.
Yes, in its entirety, as well as the show here, and as well as the Billy Gunn interview will be up in its entirety. That would want James
Got to
Walsh.
get the gun in there, dude.
Yeah, that was, what, like 45, 50 minutes?
Yeah, that was about 52 minutes, actually, yes.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal interview. And how long was Tylene Buck in its entirety?
I would say about 38.
38 minutes?
See, we go along with everybody. Francine can attest to that.
Yeah, we definitely do have a tendency to go along with people. But, yeah, so sit back, enjoy. We're going to take a quick break. And as I said, we're going to come back with some Tylene Buck. Make sure you keep it locked right here to the Blaze 1260 AM, home of the Wrestling Epicenter.
Hey guys, you're listening to Alex Porto at the Wrestling Epicenter.
Tylene, it's a pleasure to have you on the show with us this evening.
Thanks, guys. How are you this evening?
Well, we're doing all right. It's a little hot out here in the desert. It's about 112, so
Oh.
we're trying to function, you know what I mean?
You should be here with me by my pool.
It'd be nice, but, you know, I'm on my way to work right now, so unfortunately,
I feel sorry for you guys.
that's all right.
Okay, so why don't I just start out the questions by saying, before you ever got into professional wrestling, you were known as more of a model. I guess the question I have for you is, where might we have seen you before we saw you as Major Guns?
Well, before I did my wrestling, I did a lot of fitness modeling. I'm people see me all over, like, say, like Iron Man Magazine, Iron Man Videos, Muscular Development. I was Max Muscle spokesmodel for a few years. I did a lot of the different fitness magazines and videos and such. So I didn't actually compete, but I did the fitness modeling part. And people that are like really into like cars and bikes and stuff, I did a lot of like automotive magazines and bike magazines and things. And so that's where my career began, I guess you could say, before the wrestling scene.
Oddly enough, I actually worked at a racetrack calling quarter-mile races, so...
Oh, really?
We always have our bikini contests and whatnot every Saturday night for our sport compact cars and everything like that, so I see a lot of girls that are very beautiful in that scene, and people love them.
Yeah, they do. Well, I used to do bikini contests a few years ago, and, oh, yeah, I won my fair share. It was like, okay, who can get the skimpiest bikinis and... you know, that type of thing. So it was pretty much just eye patches.
I got the best job in the world because I'm the one that gets to announce them all. I get to talk to them all. I'm like, hey, how you doing? So it makes my job, you know, something I actually look forward to doing.
Oh, I bet. I bet you just hated going to work every day when you did that, huh?
Oh, I'm like, hey, it's going to be a good night tonight.
Yeah, he gets all the fun jobs. I get to sit here in the office, and he gets to go out and talk to bikini models. Great.
Oh, poor baby. I'll have to come and see you then.
Oh, wow. Sign me up for that.
Smile on your face.
Ooh.
Let me ask you this. What actually attracted you to be a professional wrestler, so to speak, or get into that, you know, professional wrestling family?
Well, I do like the rough house around, and, you know, I like to wrestle and stuff, so I thought, hey, that would be really fun to actually be on live television, week in, week out, travel all over the world, and meet new people, and then get in the ring with, you know, with another girl, and, you know, rolling around the mat. And I mean, guys love to see hot chicks in the ring wrestling around. So
guys love to see hot chicks, period.
I just wait for the clothes to start flying off. So basically, well, I knew Terry, Hulk Hogan, I should say, and Kevin Nash, and they told me about an audition that was going on. They were looking for some new girls for WCW. And so I flew down to L.A., and they had probably about 40 different girls that were auditioning for it, and but they were only picking 6 girls. So I went into the interview, and they said, okay, in a few hours we're going to be saying, okay, who the 6 girls are, and I was one of them. So that following week, then I flew to Houston, Texas, and but that's when my career began. My debut was in Houston, Texas, and I worked with Kevin Nash and Scott Hall and Jeff Jarrett and all the guys, and basically that's where I started, and I worked with them for quite a while and had a great time. So.
Now, did you ever have any professional wrestling training? If I'm not mistaken, Medusa helped you out a little bit, correct?
Oh, yeah. Well, I was with wrestling probably for about 8 months or so.
Mm-hmm.
And then Vince Russo, he was like, okay, well, we don't want just like glitz and glamour. We want girls that can actually wrestle. So I said, yeah, I'm down for that. I'm going to actually learn how to wrestle. And so I said, I don't want to be, a pretty girl on some guy's arm. I actually want to learn how to wrestle, and I've always been an athletic girl, And so they flew me to Atlanta, Georgia every week, and 2 times a week I would actually get in the ring and learn how to take, do front flips and, hit the mat and the whole thing, drop kicks. And that was one of my signature moves, was a drop kick. So. Mm-hmm. And so I got the crap beat out of me for a while, and but I actually enjoyed it. I mean, I love to actually get in the ring and mix it up, and, it makes it more entertaining,
I have heard that she was a bit of a toughie, Medusa, on the Nitro, not Nitro girls, but the more diva-looking girls as opposed to the more brute girls. Yeah. Did you find that she was a little tougher on you?
Yeah, well, actually she was. Well, the first couple of days I was there, one of the things we had to do was we had to learn how to run ropes. And so me being a blonde with big boobs, the whole thing, and younger, she didn't like that too much. So I was kind of a threat to her, and so I learned how to run ropes and stuff. And after like a half an hour running ropes, I was like, okay, I have this down. Let's move on to the next thing, And she's like, no, I want you to keep running ropes. And I'm like, why? And she's like, I just want you to. I'm like, okay, fine. So I ran ropes all day straight for 8 hours straight one day.
Oh, that had to suck.
Oh, it sucked big time. The next day I woke up and I was black and blue from underneath my armpit to the tops of my knees. Black and blue.
Oh.
So, yeah, so that was my first day of wrestling.
Your initiation, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. I got broken really well, but it didn't discourage me. I was like, you know what, you can't scare me off. You know, I'm a tougher girl than that, and, you know, you can beat me up all you want, but I'm not leaving. So you're going to have to either put up with me or or whatever you have to do, but get in the ring and wrestle me, I guess.
And Vince Russo is the one who really wanted you guys to get into the ring and wrestle a little bit more. What did you think of Vince Russo?
I actually liked him. He was really, you know, really supportive of, like, the new talent coming in. You know, I mean, the new guys that came in, he wanted to give them a chance to, you know, show their talent and stuff. And, you know, like, add some new spice to the show, you know. And so the same thing, you know, that they played 5 years ago, the same storylines. So Vince Russo, he was a really great guy. I mean, he was really creative when it came to storylines, and, you know, very talented when it came to that. He was a good, you know, good plus for the company. And I know when I came in there, you know, he wanted us girls to even be more for the show, you know, with us wrestling and stuff. And he's the one that, you know, when I basically wanted to start, like, my own character, I went to him and spoke to him about it, and he was like, yeah, you know, he goes, I think that would be a real plus to the show, and whatever will basically make the show better, that's what I'm looking for. And so, I mean, there for a while I worked with Kevin Nash and Scott Hall and stuff, and I really enjoyed that. I loved working with the guys and stuff, but I wanted to do more. You know, I would be more of a team player and stuff, so I went to him and spoke to him about, you know, actually becoming, like, my own character and stuff, instead of just being fluff on the show. And so he thought it was a great idea. So I was like a valet there for a while for, like, Jeff Jarrett and Scott Steiner.
Yeah, you were one of the NWO girls.
Yeah, and I was one of the NWO girls and stuff, but it just wasn't enough for me. Like, I wanted more.
Right.
So basically I sat at home for a week, and then he called me the following week, and he's like, okay, Tylene, we want you to fly back out to the next convention that we're going to be at, and we have another idea. I said, okay, great. So he's like, well, bring your combat boots, and he's all, you know, bring your camouflage, and I'll see you Monday morning. I said, okay. I said, I don't really have those in my closet, but I'll see what I can do. So I showed up there Monday, and he was like, okay, well, I'm going to put you in a team with 4 other guys. And I said, okay, that sounds great. So I got put together with Bill DeMott, Chavo Guerrero, Lash LaRue, and then Jerry Awal, which Jerry's no longer with us.
Yeah, we heard about that. We got a question about them coming in right now. Why don't I give you those? We usually do word associations late in the show, but we're going to give you these guys now, all 4 members, or 5 members, I count, of the Misfits in action. How about I give you Bill DeMott, who was General Erection?
Well, Bill, he was the leader of the team, I guess you could say. He was very supportive. He loved having a girl, like, in his team, and he always thought of me like his little sister, pretty much. And, you know, basically he even wanted to show me his moonsault because, I mean, he's a fantastic wrestler and stuff, but, you know, all the years of him wrestling, I mean, he was pretty beat up, you know.
Yeah.
So he's like, you know, since basically, like, you're kind of like a little sister to me, he goes, I would love to, like, actually show you my moonsault and kind of, you know, pass it on to you type thing. But it never ended up happening because things kind of changed with all of our team after a while, which everyone knows I went on to Canada, Team Canada. So, but Bill is very great. He's really, really supportive and stuff, and he taught me a lot in the industry. So.
You were really thrilled to go move to Team Canada.
No, actually I wasn't. I mean, I love the group of guys that I worked with, because Chavo Guerrero, he was a total sweetheart. He was very supportive, too, and, you know, I mean, basically they always treated me as an equal, which I really liked. You know, it wasn't like, oh, well, you just kind of go in the corner and wait for, you know, us to want fluff. Basically, like, I was one of the wrestlers, and I was part of the team, and they always included me in on everything. So, and then Lash, he was great, you know. He was very supportive, and he had his goofy ways and stuff, and, you know, they were just like, they're all like my big brothers, you know, and I really liked it. They always watched after me.
I feel very bad that Lash is not working with WWE because she's just so damn creative.
He is. He's very, very talented. I mean, not only is he a good artist and stuff, but, you know, and he could wrestle really good, plus he had a lot of charisma out there.
Right.
And I think WWF is really, you know, really missing out on not having his talent there.
Were you around when Major stash, Van Hammer was around, or was that right afterwards?
No, he was actually when I...
He didn't last very long, I know.
When I got put in with a team of guys, like he was actually before Jerry AWOL. It was Van Hammer that was in there for a while, but Van Hammer seemed like he just wasn't happy being part of the team and stuff, so he wanted to kind of be on his own. So, I mean, no hard feelings or nothing, but he was just like, hey guys, this is not for me, so I just want to move on. So we were like, okay, well, no hard feelings. We still, love you and everything, but, I hope everything works out for you for whatever other kind of, storyline you create for yourself. So there's no hard feelings. I mean, he's a great guy.
How about the person you just mentioned that passed away? How about Jerry Tootie, also known as The Wall?
Jerry AWOL?
Yeah.
He was a total sweetheart. He was, Jerry was like a really sweet guy. He was very shy, and but he had a ton of friends in the back. I mean, everybody loved him because basically he would always be there to, help us out and everything. And it was so great because like I'd show up there at whatever convention and he'd see me and he'd give me a big hug and he'd like, hey sweetie, how are you doing? And like I missed you. But he would do whatever he could, to help out the team. And, just like the time that he shaved his head into a mohawk.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a total trooper about that.
Yeah, I don't think I would do that.
Yeah, a lot of guys want to do that, but he did it because to make our team even that much better. So he was willing to put in his 150%. So he was an awesome guy. And I'm sorry to see that he's gone.
How did you get along with the other divas of the company?
Well, I mean, I don't like to talk bad about people.
Yeah.
But, I didn't get along with all of them. I mean, most of them were pretty sweet girls, but, basically all of us girls in there are kind of, struggling to be on top and stuff. It's,
politics
going on.
A little bit of cattiness. So, we probably could have had, like, a catfight show in the back, probably.
Hey, Joey Styles would love to call it, you know what I mean?
See clothes fly in. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I heard one of the people that a lot of the WCW girls were complaining about was Pamela Paulshock when she came in. Is she one of the ones that you didn't get along with, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I got along with her, but I'm not a prima donna, so it kind of makes it hard when you're around other people that are prima donnas. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. In early 2001, Eric Bischoff came into the company and pretty much cleaned house of most of the, keep calling them divas, but WCW really didn't have a name for all the females that they had. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep calling you guys divas. They pretty much just cleaned house, and you were one of the ones, unfortunately, that got cut. What did you think of that, and did you expect it to happen the way it did?
No, I actually didn't expect it to happen the way it did. But, the way I look at it is, when they let me go, it was their loss.
Right.
Because I had a huge fan following, and, after they let me go, I had so many people that would either write in or call in or whatever and was really pissed off about the situation, because they just dropped the ball on the whole storyline. And, and all the big wrestling fans, they follow it, just like people that are into soap operas and things. And people are very unhappy, and based on the way he conducted business, period, well, I won't be too proud of. But anyway.
Fair enough. So, what have you been doing since we've seen you in wrestling to keep yourself occupied? We've seen you, obviously, you have your website.
Tylene.com.
Well, I have two websites. I have Tylene.com, which is my online portfolio site, so you can see what I've done throughout my career. And then also I have TyleneBuck.com, which is what I'm been doing now and my wilder side, I guess you could say.
Oh, would you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Where I've kind of come out of the closet since wrestling.
Wow. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll have to send you some pictures after the show. Just give me your email and I'll send you a picture.
Hey, fair enough.
This is the strangest interview ever. I'm just kidding.
Hey, I'm one of a kind, I'm telling you.
Oh, I'd agree with that. And another person that's one of a kind is Rob Black, and you work for Rob Black's XPW, I should say, for just a couple of shows. Rob has a bit of a sketchy reputation based on what he was involved with before he got into wrestling. What did you think of working under that banner?
Well, actually, I didn't realize so much what I was getting into. I didn't realize that basically the wrestling thing and the porn thing was together. And I thought it was just going to be like another wrestling federation. So so I thought, well, you know, I'll go down there and try it and stuff. And then one thing led to another, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is not what I thought it was going to be. And then when basically checks start bouncing and stuff, and I'm like, okay, this ain't working.
Yeah, bye.
Time to move on.
Yeah.
So
well,
yeah, it was pretty wild, and then you know,
well, you sort
of gonzo porn anyway. So
you got a little bit. You showed a little bit of your wild side also, though, on the backyard wrestling videos that they put out. Let's just ask you this, and if we're not going to ask you anything gross, we're just going to ask you flat out. Given the fact that you were with Lance Storm, who's like a wrestling purist, and a lot of others that were more purist, did you ever catch any flack from people you used to work with for doing backyard wrestling?
I actually did because, well, before I did wrestling, I did the backyard wrestling.
Oh.
Oh, I see you like to show your guns. So I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, you don't know me well enough.
Well, maybe they should just interview you. I don't know. Just kidding. All right. Well, like I said, just check out Tylene.com as well as TyleneBuck.com. And is that by chance a pay site, TyleneBuck.com?
My TyleneBuck.com site is a pay site, but I have galleries of pictures on there. I have videos. I do weekly webcam shows for my members. Plus, if you're a member of my site, then you can also see my girlfriend's webcam shows. I have like 75 other. Yeah, I have like 75 other girls that I have web links with. And then if you see my webcam shows, then you can also see theirs. And sometimes, you know, when I have my webcam shows, I bring in a special little surprise, but I ain't going to tell you.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
You have to tune in and find out to see what type of surprise it is.
You have got to send us some sort of a button or something we can put up so we can promote this. We got to see this.
Oh, I know you'll be on there. You'll remember.
I'm going to be under a disguised name, so you'll never know it's me. All right, before we let you go, can we just give you a couple word associations like we did with the above, with the Misfits in Action? We can also just give them names. You don't have to give a one-word answer. We call them word associations just because we give you the name, and if you have a story, run with it. If not, just go to the next one.
Okay.
All right, how about, first one is a little bit of a downer. How about Miss Elizabeth?
Sorry to hear she's gone. Talented woman, sorry she's gone.
How about Tammy Lynn Sitch, also known as Sunny?
Crazy woman.
Was she? Oh, is that a good or bad thing?
She's crazy. She's just a nice girl, very crazy, very outgoing. Yeah.
How about Hacksaw Jim Duggan?
He's like a big teddy bear. I love him.
He was a great interview that we just had about 6 months ago, so I'm a big fan of his.
Really?
Yeah.
He is so awesome. I mean, he's very, very entertaining, and he's very talented, and he's wonderful. I loved him. I loved working with him when I got a chance to.
How about a guest we just had on last week, the guy you said helped get you your job in WCW? How about Hulk Hogan?
Hulk Hogan? He's awesome. He's a really earth guy, and he's really great. I like Hulk. I like him a lot. Hulk Hogan's a really sweet guy.
How about Medeja?
Medeja? Well, she was around and now she's gone. I'll leave it at that.
How about Lizzie Borden?
Lizzie Borden. We'll move on.
Stacy Keebler?
Stacy Keebler? Well, who's the next one she's going to sleep with?
Wow.
Oh, did I say that? I'm sorry. Next one.
How about Kimona, or whatever she was known as, Leia Meow in WCW, I believe it was?
Are you talking about the one that passed away?
She died.
Yeah, she died a few years ago.
Kimona did?
From what I hear.
Are you sure about that?
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I heard she passed away like a heart attack or something.
Huh. I've been trying to interview her. That can explain why I can't get a hold of her.
Yeah, I heard maybe it was like 3 or 4 years ago. I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe not.
Oh, no, maybe you're thinking of the one who used to be Bob Holly's mother on TV.
You're talking about Kimona, the Hawaiian girl, right?
She was like, yeah.
Yeah, the big Hawaiian girl?
No, she was skinny. No, that was Bertha Faye, whatever her name was.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I'm wrong.
Okay. Yeah, she was the Asian girl.
Oh, okay. Maybe I don't know her.
Didn't know her that well? Okay. And how about the last one I'll give you? And it's not that much of a blockbuster, but how about Daphne?
Daphne was a sweet girl. I liked her. That girl could scream her ass off. And plus, she's down to earth. She's really sweet. I loved Daphne.
All right. Well, we can't thank you enough. Once again, check out TyleneBuck.com as well as Tylene.com, and if you supply us with a button, we'll gladly put it up on our page, on our official site.
The Blaze, 1260 AM.
Yo, maniacs, this is Hulk Hogan, the greatest of all time, and you're listening to The Blaze, 1260 AM. So what you gonna do when Hulk Hogan in Blaze-a-Mania runs wild on you?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here to the Wrestling Epicenter on the Blaze, 1260 AM. We still got Francine on the phone. Francine, you still with us?
I'm here.
Oh, what a girl right there, man. She waits for that whole Tylene Buck interview and now ready to go. We got James Walsh here.
Yeah.
We just heard from Major Guns, a.k.a. Tylene Buck from WCW. She was part of Team Canada. A great interview. We're going to air that whole thing in its entirety. As I said, nearly 38 minutes will be up on our website here later this evening over at WrestlingEpicenter.com. We also have Billy Gunn coming up a little bit later on. He's going to talk about some of his WWE previous history.
And he's going to call Triple H evil, which is pretty funny.
Oh, he shoots on Triple H from what I understand.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
But let's move right along to Raw.
He caught him in a good mood, I guess.
Yeah, let's move right along to Raw, which came from Tampa, Florida. It was obviously on August 29th. This past Monday, the show starts out with the Intercontinental Champion Carlito making his way down to the ring for the Cabana. His guest this week was none other than the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. This was a pretty good segment, man. I'll tell you what, these guys seem to have good chemistry, and Shawn Michaels has really kind of stepped up his game here over the last 3 or 4 weeks on Raw.
Shawn Michaels really has. Unfortunately, he should be doing it in the heel role. I don't know why he's a babyface again. Hopefully, they'll turn him heel again. I will say this. Carlito does such a great job talking, but for a guy that's just so great on the mic and so charismatic, and he's actually a pretty good worker, he just needs a finishing move. He has no finishing move.
Sure he does. He spits the apple. What more do you want?
All right. Well, I never saw anybody get pinned by getting his apple spit on.
No, I agree with you. We were talking about it last week. I think Carlito has come a long way since his debut. He's great on the stick. But like you said, he needs something more, and you might have hit the nail on the head with that one. So
yeah. But I still see Shawn Michaels as kind of being kind of a tweener at this point in time, because he still took shots at Hulk Hogan.
Shawn has always been a tweener.
Yeah, I mean, he said a lot of things like, you know, Hogan will come back when he needs a payoff, which, I mean, maybe true to some, you know, to some degree. And he also, you know, took other shots, you know, on Hogan aside from that. So Michaels still wasn't playing a full-fledged face at this point in time.
I'm sure Shawn Michaels is one of those guys who has leverage in the company that isn't handed a script. And he, you know, he's one of the top tier stars that can get his shots in and not get in trouble for it. And that's what I like him. You know, that's what I like about him the most is, you know, a green kid coming off his first year wouldn't be able to say stuff like that and get away with it.
Of course not.
But you know, Shawn's on that level, and that's what makes him so fun to watch, because those kind of guys, you never know what's going to come out of their mouth. You know, so heel or face, Shawn's a great character.
And he does, and we did the interview with Hulk Hogan, and what Hogan talked about was you have to listen with your ear about what people say to you and react off that instead of going off of a script. And you obviously did that in ECW when they're chanting things like, she's a crack, whatever, you know, that thing.
Oh, yeah, you definitely have to feel the crowd, and you know, we didn't really go off on scripts and stuff like that in ECW. I mean, we played off the crowd always. So, yeah, that's the way to make it look real.
ECW's got to be a little bit of a different situation, though. Is obviously you didn't have, you know what I mean, the censors and whatnot at that point in time kind of breathing down your guy's neck. Whereas WWE has been such a center of controversy now, in such a big public spotlight, that they're really kind of been muzzled in a lot of aspects. So
we didn't have it until we went on TNN.
Right.
That's when they started censoring us and editing our product. But before then, the hardcore show, the syndicated show that we had, man, it was like a free-for-all. But TNN was our downfall, and I'm not even going to get into that, but that's when we started to feel it. So.
I was thinking that exactly, and I remember they did that whole promo where Paul Heyman went on this rant, and they cut his audio. And I thought that was incredible. I thought, wow.
Yeah.
Then why are they even showing the video if they're not going to give me any audio? I mean, I'm not a lip reader, so I don't know what he's saying.
Well, someday we'll have to do a whole Death of the ECW kind of show if you guys are interested in doing that.
But now back to Raw.
Yes, back to Raw. The first match we saw of the evening was a handicap match. It was the Big Show versus Buck Quarterman and Steve Madison. Francine, are you familiar with either of these guys?
No, I'm not.
See, I've actually heard of Buck Quarterman, but I've never heard of this Steve Madison guy.
Is Buck Quarterman from General Hospital?
No, I think that's what was his name? Alex Quartermain?
I don't know. Something.
Yeah.
God forgive me for watching it at General Hospital. Sorry.
God should forgive
That's an old
that.
school.
Wow.
Yeah, that's old school.
Nevertheless, I gotta say I'm a little confused by this because we see Big Show every other week, it seems like, or maybe every 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks even, with him not being on TV at all. And then he comes on TV. Sometimes he's made it look really weak. Sometimes he's made it look, really strong. Obviously, this was a situation where he looks strong, but I don't exactly know what they're doing with his character.
Neither do they.
In what direction they have for him. It seems kind of like a waste. Not saying that the Big Show's a waste. Just I think that there could have been something else thrown in there that could have been more beneficial.
Well,
They
Francine,
just don't have anything for him right now.
right, and unfortunately, if they don't have anything for you, usually that means you're going to get released. So I'm just glad that they're using him as filler rather than just firing him, which would be a real travesty.
I always find it hard to believe why someone that's 7 foot tall can't have something going for him as far as creative concerned. It's kind of like built in. This guy's larger than life. There's not a really whole lot of rocket science that goes into building a character that's that size, except they've jobbed him out for so long now that, I don't know.
Well,
Yeah, and it's also politics, too. And like we said last week, you don't know what goes on in those meetings behind closed doors. So,
How much politicking is there really going on backstage?
There's a lot. There's a lot.
I mean, I always think there's probably some, but I don't think I have a full grasp of exactly how much there really is.
It's who you're friends with, who you know, who did you piss off the week before, what you said about so-and-so. It all intertwines into how you're going to be used.
Wow.
Because you could be on top one day, and then just like the Dudleys with their name.
Yeah.
And now they're 3D, and they did something to piss Vince McMahon off, and now they can't even use their names that they had years and years before they even went there.
Well, I got to ask you this. Do you think that's really Vince's fault? And I'm not necessarily harping on the Dudley Boys in any way. Or do you think that they should have had the foresight in the beginning of their career to go ahead and trademark that name?
I don't really know the whole story behind it. I'm so happy that I chose my birth name to use because it's like my name.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's exactly right.
Yeah, so I don't think it's legal to take a birth name away from somebody.
No, you can't do that.
Yeah,
right, and that's
Missy,
why I said it from day one. I'm like, I'm so glad I used my real name because I've seen this happen so many times. You go somewhere and you build up, your gimmick and your character, and your fan base knows you as this person, and then all of a sudden you're somebody else.
Right. Well,
because somebody, you didn't copyright your name, or they trademarked it without you. Now, it's just a big, we don't know the exact story, but in their case, it's a shame because I will always recognize them as the Dudleys.
Well, even saying this, like I said, we have Billy Gunn later on in the show, who's no longer Billy Gunn.
Yeah, what's his name? Kip? What did you call him?
Kip James.
Yeah, no, he's Billy Gunn.
That's a hell of a T-shirt name, isn't it?
Kip James. Well, like I said, I don't know the logistics. I don't, Vince might be on the money with this one. I have no idea, but it's just a shame because they worked so hard as the Dudley Boys. And I read a review and it said 3D, and I'm like, who are they? A new tag team?
Yeah.
Didn't even know it was them. And I'm like,
tag
oh
team's
yeah.
been around for 16 years,
Well,
or 20 years,
who
whatever
knows?
the case
Who
is.
knows? No, it's not 20 years.
It's not 20 years yet, no.
Yeah, it's not even 16 yet. But
No.
my point is, like, who knows what could happen if it's not your birth name, man? You can give that name up in a heartbeat.
Well, I suggest you just go to talk to Missy Hyatt. Somebody tried to screw her out of her name once, and she's like, "That's my name." You can't take my birth name. That's not copyrightable.
Yeah, I don't think it is, and
And that's the loophole.
Getting back to the politics, either they pissed him off somehow, and he turned around and took that from him. But I mean, you don't want to cross the boss. So to speak, and you got to be careful as to what you do, and you are under the looking glass there.
Well, I'll just say this. There's a guy that calls himself now by one name, and that's Warrior, and there's a reason why he changed his birth name to the Warrior, because he wanted to have the rights to that trademark. So
yeah, and I just read online something about his DVD and that they're producing, and it's such a, the wrestling business is such a mess right now.
I always say this because I haven't always been like an avid wrestling fan, I'll be honest with everyone here. But since I've gotten into it, and in like the radio aspect, and as far as covering news of wrestling, I'm actually shocked at the things that go on in this kind of medium of entertainment. It never ceases to amaze me.
Chuck said to me earlier today, "I want out. These people are all crazy."
Well, it's something else. Sometimes I think to myself, unbelievable. You know, it's just stuff that I wouldn't have expected. But continuing back on the path of Raw, our next match was the brand new Diva Search winner, Ashley Massaro, taking on Victoria. And it was a complete squash match. But I got to ask you guys, what did they do to Victoria?
Oh, they cut her hair and they changed her theme song to be complete slow motion. What the hell is that?
It breaks my heart because it's like the most talented girls on the roster get the crappy end of the stick.
Yeah, I know.
And Victoria falls in this category. She's one of the best wrestlers they have, and she's subjected to doing stuff like this and the change of her appearance. And, you know, I just think there's a better, just like Big Show, there could be a major role for her, and they're just not utilizing her talent.
Well, I think they're kind of in a situation where they have to put people like Ashley or Candice Michelle against someone that can work so phenomenally, simply because, you know, if you put the two of them in a match together,
it's going to stink up the place.
Yeah, it's not going to be very good.
Right.
But they could have, see, if I was the booker, which I never will be a booker in WWE, but if I was the booker, I would have kept Christy on the Raw roster and did something with the two of them. They don't have to wrestle each other. They're still training. But they could have built it up so 2, 3, 4 months from now they could have had a half-decent match.
Right.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it could have been like, well, you know, you're old news because I'm the winner this year and everybody forgot about you and this and that. And, they, you know, they could have had an instant angle from that. But they moved Christy over to SmackDown, and now, you know, they get Tori and Candice on this show. I mean, it could work because you got hot broads in the ring, of course. You know, who doesn't like to see hot girls in the ring? But, you know, I totally would have went about it a different way.
Well, what you just described would have made sense, and if it's going to make sense, then they can't do that.
Well, no, they can. They just, you know,
choose not to.
They went a different path, yeah. And like I said, Victoria should be in the ring with the likes of like a Trish Stratus or a Molly Holly, who's not there anymore, I know, or a Jazz, who's not there anymore. But they released all of their good workers, and now they have all these models who are beautiful to look at, but they can't work.
Right.
So hopefully they're getting trained, and within, you know, the next couple of months we will see an improvement. I give everybody the benefit of the doubt. I mean, everybody can be trained, everybody can be replaced. There's no doubt in my mind about that. But, you know, let's train them, and let's get them to wrestle a little bit, or at least take bumps.
Yeah, I mean, I think moving Christy over to SmackDown was a mistake because, I mean, Christy, I mean, it's even in the name. You're talking Raw Diva Search.
Yeah.
Exactly. She established herself on Raw. She was only there for a year. They should have just kept her there and had her do a feud with this new winner.
Well, what we talked about last week was a little bit about, you know, Eugene getting the heel heat, and I think that kind of spooked him a little bit. We haven't seen Eugene on TV. Candice, or excuse me.
But they don't know what to do with him now.
Well, I mean, Christy, immediately when he started getting poor reaction, was shipped off to SmackDown because she was now associated with him.
And now he's and now he's stuck on Heat. So
yeah.
That's pretty much the end of him.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully they'll bring him back, either, like we said, repackaged or...
I can't understand how people could boo a retarded character. I just don't get it. But
people are cruel.
People are cruel. I mean, I just remember thinking, when this first came out, the internet absolutely detested it. And I was one of the few people that actually thought it would work. And for a short time, it did.
Well, let me
I still don't get why it doesn't work, though.
Let me pose you this question. Now, if the only way you can say, I want to change something is by booing it, does that really make people terrible? How else can they voice their opinion to the WWE creative staff than by saying, you know, by booing a character? How else does anyone know that that's not going to work for them?
Oh, the fans, they pay their money. They have the right to voice their opinion. That's their job. That's what they do.
Yeah, but James, here's the thing. They know he's not really retarded.
Right.
They know it's a character. So they're really not booing a retarded person.
Right, exactly.
They're booing his character.
They're just letting...
Which is what I think Chuck is trying to say.
Right. They got to have a way to be able to let Vince and the creative team know that this isn't what we want to see.
Right.
And there's a difference between saying, well, we're going to boo him because he's doing a good job as a heel, say like a Triple H. They're saying we're going to boo him when he's a face because we don't really dig this character. It's not working for us. Can you please change it?
Well, he needs a character, but everybody wants him to come back as Nick Dinsmore. And the bottom line is, though, Nick Dinsmore without the Eugene character is very bland, and that's why he created the Eugene character. Because he realizes without a character, he wasn't going to get over.
Well, it's just like we were talking about Shelton Benjamin last week. Phenomenal worker, looks great, lacks charisma.
Yeah.
You know, you got to step up your game. You got to start thinking of ideas and get yourself out there and get yourself over.
I had a great idea for him last week as well.
For Shelton?
Yeah,
Or
yeah. You ever seen
Okay.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
Carlton?
Yeah. I'd have made him Carlton Banks and
You
team
want
up.
him to dance to Tom Jones? When he
Yes,
comes down
I
the
want
ring?
him. I want him and Kerwin White to dance to Tom Jones music. Yes, that'd be.
Carlton was my favorite.
That'd be phenomenal.
Well, then he had a tag team.
Carlton, I've said this since day one. Coach reminds me of Carlton.
Coach is awesome.
I don't know why. He does. He reminds me of Carlton. Thanks.
The more I see of Coach, the more I like Coach. We had him on the show. He was a great interview, and ever since then, I've been like a bigger and bigger fan because the dude's
Very
just like
nice guy.
legitimately funny, and he's kind of like I don't know how to say it. He's like a little eccentric. He's not kind of what you expect, but he's kind of like a real chill, kind of cool dude. But he comes off like so dorky with like a dorky spin to him.
And he's got a good heel persona, you know, and listening to him, you do want to kill him. Like at the pay-per-view, at the ECW pay-per-view, the fans wanted to kill him.
Oh, he said
They
he was
did.
legitimately afraid.
Yeah, I mean, not literally somebody would come up and blow his brains out, but
I think
yeah,
he was
they
concerned.
Yeah, well, they were on him big time. I mean, I was getting my hair and makeup done, and he came down and showed me the jersey that he was going to wear with the you know, the
No
the
smoking
symbol.
thing over it. Yeah.
Yeah, the line through the ECW thing. I'm like, bro, you're going to get some heat. And he's just like, well, that's the point. And he got more heat than he ever thought he would because there was 3,000 people screaming for his death.
Yeah.
So.
But like we said, these people are smart enough to realize you don't attack a guy that has Edge and JBL standing next to him.
Oh, well, yeah, no doubt. But, I mean, I like the Coach character. I mean, I like him as a person. He was very nice to me and, you know, very respectful. But I was always drawn to heels more than baby faces, and I just love the way Coach comes off. So.
Right.
But anyway, you know, let's repackage people. And, you know, Dinsmore can come back. And he's a talented wrestler, but he needs to make a name for himself, so he needs to step it up and you know, give us something. Use that charisma.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
we don't know what he's capable of because we haven't seen him. We've seen him as a, you know, a retarded person.
Right.
Well, we got to move along.
And,
Oh, go ahead.
and they're going to insult our intelligence anyway, and we're not supposed to remember he was Eugene, so maybe they'll cut his hair and bring him back as a totally different person. Who knows?
Well, moving right along here, we gotta proceed along. We had our street fight with Edge and Matt Hardy, which was our next match, and I'll tell you what,
This
gotta
is
be a
the
match
match
of the night.
This is the match that
I
should have.
enjoyed this match a lot.
Oh yeah, this is the match that should have happened at SummerSlam.
I was thinking this is a pay-per-view match. Why are they giving it to us for free?
Well, 'cause I think they feel like they dropped the ball on the SummerSlam pay-per-view. I think they realized people were not happy with that quick finish of Matt Hardy just being disqualified. You know, I can't continue.
Right.
So I think they said, well, we got to step it up. This feud's kind of lost some of its fuel. So they said, we're going to pour a little gasoline on this fire and let it go.
Yeah, I was really impressed with it. It was really good. Anything with a ladder draws my attention. It brings me back to my roots. So.
Oh, are you a mark for a
enjoyed it.
ladder, Francine?
Well, we used them so many times, so I'm used to it being in the ring with me. But no, I did enjoy. There's not too much wrestling I enjoy nowadays, and I really enjoyed this match with those two. I thought they gave it 100%.
I'll tell you what, though, I'm known to take a little crazy bumps and do crazy stuff, but I would not play with fire. And when that pyro went up, I even cringed because I'm not going to jump into pyro. That stuff frightens the hell out of me.
It was a nice bump. They took a really nice bump, you know.
I'm not gonna
I expected something. You know, I would have liked them to bump Lita, but like we mentioned before, maybe it's too soon for her to take anything. You know, but when I knew they were going to go off the stage, I just didn't know when and how they were going to do it. But you know, it's always cool falling 15 feet from. You know.
Yeah, what was good was the selling of this toward the end. Like, you know, as James said, he might have been nervous. I didn't really find it nervous, but I'll tell you what, Edge did a hell of a job actually selling, man. The dude was, like, in tears.
Right.
Like, it looked like it was that painful. And I'm like, wow, that's
Well,
something
you
you
know-
don't see that often anymore, you know? A
Yeah,
good job
that's
selling.
because they know what. Yeah, they know what they're doing, and you know, like I worked with one girl where we super kicked her and put her through a table, and she gets up and giggles.
Oh.
So the art of selling is like lost these days. So
Well,
you
here's the
definitely have
problem.
to know how to sell.
The people aren't
What's that?
training. People aren't training these girls, you know, properly.
Yeah,
They
well,
don't know
that's
it.
a whole other story.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, both their sells were tremendous, and like I said, when I saw them on the stage, I knew something was going to happen, but I didn't know where. So it was a nice bump, and you know, the electrical stuff was cool to see, and it'll be fun to see how it plays out next week.
Indeed. Next, we saw a little interaction between the WWE Champion John Cena and Kurt Angle. And I'll tell you what, Kurt Angle seems to elevate everyone he's around, in my opinion. This actually had Cena looking like it was kind of a typical Cena promo, I want to say, a little bit, as he obviously toward, you know, Kurt Angle being gay, whatever.
Enough with the gay jokes.
It gets old, but he hasn't used it in a while, and when you see Kurt's reactions, whatever someone says, it makes it that much more entertaining. So I didn't have a problem with it this time. And I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to this match because Kurt Angle's going to carry him to an amazing match. There's no doubt about it. Kurt Angle, as I say in my intro, can carry a mop to a good match. That's just the truth of the matter.
And John Cena grows on me every week.
He gets less. I like him less and less every week.
I like him more and more. Despite his good looks and everything, because he's stunning to look at, I'm not going to lie to you.
Now you sound like Ivory. That's the same thing she said.
He's just a beautiful specimen to look at. When he was prototype, I said, this kid's going to go to the championship. I swear. I made that thing. I saw him online in a picture, and his name was Prototype. He was working for Backstage in California. And somebody had said something about him, and I said, just by looking at him, I said, oh, my God. I said, if he ever gets to WWF, he's going to go far.
Well, you see, Francine, you haven't seen a picture of me yet.
I know.
So?
I know. Well, stop posting all the porn and put your picture up.
I don't want people to see me on the internet, man.
Why not?
I don't even like people knowing my name.
Picture.
Do it for the ladies.
But then I get too much stalkerish fan mail. Come on.
Oh, I know. I know.
It's tough.
I hear you.
Picture a smaller, unbuffed Vin Diesel.
Oh, hey, that's not bad.
Well, so what? I'm short, and I'm not buff.
Hey, there's lifts. You can put lifts in your shoes. There's no problem.
Yeah, right. Some lifts. Yeah. I can just do some roids, and I'll be good to go, right?
There you go. Well, no, you don't need. I'm not a fan of steroids.
You know, I'm not really either, not necessarily, but they run so rampant in wrestling. It's like, it boggles my mind. And what even is funnier to me, I have people that get these arguments with me all the time. It's like, oh, that person's not on steroids. I'm like, listen, their stomach is more distended than their chest. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I've had people trying to argue with me that Scott Steiner's never done roids.
Oh, please.
And I'm like, right, okay. And I'm in the desert, but I have some waterfront property for you if you're interested. I can sell it to you right now.
It makes me nervous because, like, I've actually fought with some of the guys over this, saying it's bad for you. And they're coming back at me saying, no, it's not. If you use it the right way, blah, 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 blah. Like, anything that you put in your body that's not supposed to be there is bad, you know? And I'm not objected to the way they look. I mean, some of those boys are beautiful to look at, but it just scares me because I'm afraid something bad is going to happen when they use it.
I mean, I kind of tend to agree that if used in moderations, they may not be as bad. But when I look at these people, I don't feel as though they're being used in any sort of moderation. So I don't think anyone can make a case for that.
Right. Some people use them a little. You know, you get buff, okay, but then you get, like, Scott Steiner was huge. Like, beyond huge. He was. They called him a genetic freak, you know. And
it was not genetics.
Well, genetics did play a large part to that. You got to give him credit. The dude, I mean, we saw him early in ECW, for example. I mean, the dude's thick and huge regardless.
Right. Yeah, but those muscles were not, you know, they're just big and just overly big.
Have you ever met him in person?
Yeah.
Since he's been that big?
In ECW.
Right, but I mean when he was really like the genetic freak
later, no, I hadn't seen him. Rick I've seen several times, but not Scott.
I got to tell you, man, I got to believe his veins are bigger than my whole arm.
See? And how can that be good for you? I mean, I'm not knocking anybody because, you know, you do what you got to do to survive, and I'm just worried about the after effects. That's what my argument's about. Like, please don't kill yourself to look good.
Well, and that's what we're seeing with a lot of stars of the 80s. A lot of them aren't with us anymore because they did abuse them when they were legal. But these guys, now that they're illegal, are still abusing them. So, you know, the bottom line is the result's going to be the same, and that's just unfortunate.
Well, let's pull us back here to Raw. We saw our next match, which is another big man, Tyson Tomko, taking on, well, a big man in a different way. It's the superhero in training, Rosie. Obviously, Tyson Tomko got the win. Apparently, they're really starting to push this guy kind of heavily with his big boots. I like to look at Tyson Tomko. I dig the tattoos. But I'll tell you what, we have a long list of wrestlers who have tried to use a big boot to get over, most notably being Test, none of which are still with the WWE. It's kind of an ominous start to a new push.
Well, like I said before, they're telling them what to do, and the agents probably gave them a finish.
Next match.
You know?
It's a possibility. I mean, I'm always all about seeing people be successful. I just don't know that this is the way I'd go with him necessarily. I still think he's maybe a little green. I don't know. I think he was in a tag team down in OVW with, I think, Dan the Beast Severin.
Okay.
Why not hook him back up? You know what I mean? Give this guy some more time to actually be in the ring, work a little bit more, get a little more seasoned, make a finisher that's going to get him over, and then push him.
Yeah, give him time. I mean, he'll come into himself, I'm sure. He just has that look. And like we said before, he's marketable.
Right.
You know, and to Vince, he probably saw dollar signs when he looked at that kid. So I think he has all the potential in the world. Just give him some time.
Well, speaking of steroids and seeing marketability, our last match was Chris Masters and Carlito versus Shawn Michaels in a handicap match.
And it was a match. It was a match, and I was so happy.
Well,
because I was like, last week I was like, I need to see this guy work.
And he didn't do too bad.
No.
He did well.
Yes, he did, and it was an enjoyable match. But I'm just so sick of the Master Lock. It's like, let's do something here. And when I heard they were doing, it was a tag match nonetheless, but I was still happy he was in the ring working.
Right. I was glad to see him in the ring working as well. The thing, though, that I really do like about the build-up of this character is that they've given it so much time that in the old days, you didn't have pay-per-view quality shows every Monday night. In the old days, it was, crappy shows with one decent match. And the bottom line is this guy was built for that era. And this past 6 months, he's been beating every lower card name that they have under contract. And this week, they finally gave him a victory over a bigger card name, though, quite frankly, he's been jobbed out for the past 15 years in Ric Flair. And that just still looks good on your resume, that you've made Ric Flair pass out to your finishing move.
This is good right here. Francine, what do you think of Ric Flair?
I said it before, and I'll say it again. I love Ric Flair. And
what do you think of
James,
Ric Flair, James?
James, I know you don't like him, but you have to admit one thing.
Let's hear
it.
The
man does what's good for business, and he will put the younger talent over, and you can't deny that.
I don't deny that. You
can't deny that, no matter how big of a prick he was. I don't know what your deal with him was.
I didn't like him before the interview, and I liked him less after, so.
Okay, I never met the man, and I've heard some good things, and I've heard some bad things about him. I don't judge anybody until I meet them myself, because if somebody's good to me, that's all that matters. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As a fan, sitting back at home watching TV, Ric Flair is one of the best in the business. You cannot deny it.
I've always said this, and I'll say it again in case people on the internet hate me for it. I never said I don't respect the man. What I said is I absolutely detest him.
Right, and you're allowed your opinion. Hey, you can turn around and say, you know what, Francine's the crappiest worker ever, and guess what? That's your opinion.
And then Francine never calls in again.
but no, my point is this. I can't argue the fact because everybody's laid out their opinion. I'm not going to change your mind, and you're not going to change my mind. So you can think whatever you want to think about anybody on the earth.
Hey,
you're totally allowed.
If I didn't let people have their own opinions, I'd be freaked out like Bin Laden. So don't worry about that. It's it's your own opinion, whatever you want to think. Personally, I think every crazy promo that you stood in the ring with Shane Douglas and he was shooting on Flair, pretty much my opinion.
Okay, and you're allowed that. But as a fan, like I said, I don't know Ric Flair. I've heard what Shane had to say a million times over. I've heard people who've praised him. I did not get to meet him, but watching him as a fan, because we all got into this business because we're fans, watching him as a fan, he entertains me every single time.
He's very entertaining. I just personally he irks me.
What do you think of the Ric Flair matches, James Walsh?
You've seen one, you've seen them all.
See, and that's okay, because, it's funny. If you don't like somebody, even if they're the best worker in the world, you're still not going to enjoy it.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. If you really sit there, and I've tried this before, doing experiments, like if I listen to one of Chuck's songs and I start making fun of it, he gets ticked off because I'm just not giving it a fair chance. And if you listen to one of my songs, he makes fun of it because he's not giving it a fair chance.
Oh, no. I actually listen, James Walsh. I internalize what I'm hearing and try and make... I don't pass judgment.
Sure you were, Chuck.
I don't.
Yeah, you were singing along with a stupid, retarded voice.
Well... I was just
really give it a chance, though.
Trying to give an accurate portrayal of what I was hearing.
Trying to save face for your porno from before.
Oh. Oh, that's what we call a low blow, I think, right?
It's okay.
Well, Francine, we're going to let you off the air at this point in time. We appreciate you joining us.
I'm sorry if I stirred up some crap. I didn't mean to.
Oh, no, you didn't stir up it. It's all
a lot of fun.
good
I'm having fun here, but I have a feeling I'm going to have to defend myself. Maybe put him in the master lock and in the bin.
And then we can all be bored and go to sleep. It'll be a good time. Francine, we'll talk to you next week. We thank you for joining us. And once again, everyone here listening, don't forget to check out foreverfrancine.com and Missy Hyde and FrancineTV.com. And at this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with our Billy Gunn interview, which we're going to be airing about 10 minutes of. You can always hear the full version over at WrestlingEpicenter.com. We're going to probably have that up later tonight, if I'm not mistaken. Right, James?
It's up to you, dude.
Well, maybe later tonight, early tomorrow. We'll see what happens.
You want to take on the responsibility.
But you are listening here to the Wrestling Epicenter on the Blaze, 1260 a.m.
How you doing, Kip?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. It's an honor to have you on the show, brother.
Oh, good. How's the weather out there?
You know how it is. It's hot, man.
It's the same thing here, sitting on a football field watching these kids play. It's like burning up out here.
Where are you at, if you don't mind me asking?
Orlando.
Oh, wow, yeah. Well, then you got the humid heat there.
Yeah, yeah.
At least here it's a dry heat, as they say.
Yes, exactly. I guess heat, though, any way you look at it.
Mm-hmm. So, we just came off the Slammiversary pay-per-view a couple weeks ago. How'd you think everything turned out?
Well, it didn't turn out the way I wanted it to.
Yeah.
James turned on me.
Yeah.
I thought I had him in the bag, and he turned on me. That's all right. He'll get his, though.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys will. Well, we usually go in like a more...
brothers are.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. We usually go in a chronological order. Speaking of brothers, let me also introduce on the phone my brother of sorts, Eric Clancy's also on the phone with me. Eric, you there?
How you doing, Kip?
Hey, good, Eric. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Waited a little long to pull the trigger on that one, but that's cool.
That little seven-second delay is kicking in.
Yeah. All right, man. We usually go in more chronological order, so let's try to get that going, and hopefully things will pan out great for us. The first time I had an opportunity to see you as a wrestling fan 10 years ago or 11 years ago, whenever it was the debut of the Smoking Guns. What is your initial thoughts on that character and those gimmicks?
Well, it was good for us. I mean, well, it was good for me anyway, because my whole background since I was a little kid was, I used to train horses, rode bulls and stuff like that, and then went to college to do that. So I mean, when we came in with a gimmick that we were real comfortable with, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to get over to the fans and get over as somebody just come in, because I mean, we were brand new to wrestling. We'd been working maybe, a year at the most before we came up to New York. And it was comfortable because we were in comfortable surroundings, kind of with the cowboy gimmick.
Mm-hmm. Why do you feel that maybe you lasted a little bit longer than your brother Bart or your on-air brother Bart in the American wrestling scene?
I don't know. I think I just suited New York a little bit better than he did. I mean, he had a great career with Vince, and then had a good career over in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
But he's really more Japan style, because he's incredibly strong, incredibly tough, and they just over there it's a little different. They just go to swinging people and just beating the crap out of each other. Over here it's more entertainment, and it's more about charisma and presence.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that, I've always had a lot of charisma because I love being in front of people, so it brings out that much more in me. So, I mean, when they split us up and wanted to try to run me as a single, it was okay. It was good for me, bad for Bart, but I mean, I think it was just more that I had more the entertaining part of it than Bart did.
I'd agree with that. We did an interview once upon a time with the Honky Tonk Man, and he mentioned managing you as the long-forgotten character of Rockabilly.
Yeah.
Does that bring nightmares when I mention that name?
Yeah, nightmares is not even remotely what it was. I thought it was the end of my career, so I don't know what it was. Because that went nowhere fast.
Yeah.
I didn't even have a chance to go uphill. It just went straight downhill.
I mean, did they even, my logic behind that is, did they even think it would work? I mean, is anybody sitting there thinking, I can see people buying rockabilly things 30 years after rockabilly was actually popular, a form of music?
Right.
I don't really.
No, what it was is that when I split from Bart, it was like they wanted to put something on me that kind of wanted to go that kind of keep me in that character, but not that much of that character, kind of off, kind of like an off brand of it. And it was, nobody put any thought into it. Nobody did anything, because when I was supposed to come out and do the debut thing of it, it was just like nobody had a clue. And they just went, okay, here. They gave me a Levi jacket with a bedazzler, things on it, and just said, okay, go try that. And it was like, how do you get into something that nobody even gave a crap about or put any thought into? So it was just horrible, horrible.
Now, I remember, and I think it was on a Shotgun Saturday night, and it was ironic because you and the Road Dogg formed the New Age Outlaws, and at the time nobody blinked an eye, and it went on to become one of the most money-making tag teams of all time. Who came up with the idea for the Outlaws?
Me and Road Dogg, because what happened is when we did when they originally put us together, it was kind of like a punishment thing, because me and him were supposed to run down, and Shawn and Undertaker had a match. We were supposed to run down and do something, and they called us off, and we didn't. We stopped about halfway down the ramp and started talking to each other, and they thought we were kind of playing around, and we weren't. And then they put us together just because they really weren't doing nothing with either one of us. So they kind of put us together as kind of like a rib on us, and the rib was actually on them, because from the get-go, from us being together from the first time, it was just unbelievable. It's just great chemistry there.
How important do you feel the Road Warriors were in helping make the New Age Outlaws one of the greatest tag teams that the 90s saw?
As great as they were, and they had their time where they were, the elite of the elite. I think they were just like a stepping stone for us to go on. I think even without them, I mean, they had a part in it, but I think even without them, we would have still did great things that we did. I mean, you have, and luckily for us, they were, gracious enough to work with us and do, and help us get along. But I mean, yeah, there's a little part to it, but I think we would have still done what we would have done.
Well, of course, you joined Degeneration X, and there's rumors on the internet claiming that they really wanted you to join the faction, I should say, well before you guys actually did. Is there any truth that they wanted you to join as early as Shawn Michaels and Triple H's days with the faction?
No, that's a lie.
That's a flat-out lie?
That's a lie. Yeah, they didn't want us in there.
They didn't want
us in DX because they didn't think that me and Road Dogg were going to get over.
Wow.
They did, and that's the truth. I mean, you can call Road Dogg, interview him, he'll say the same thing. But then as they just gave us the reins and let us do our own thing, what we wanted to do, we just shot through the roof. I mean, people loved to see what we were doing next.
So even during that, I remember when you guys came down after the match with Shawn and Triple H versus the Road Warriors, and you all destroyed the Road Warriors, that even then there was no plans, because I remember the internet was abuzz that right after that you guys were going to join right after. There was no plans even then?
You know what I think it was? It was kind of a hint to see what the people would, how they would react to us being with them, or with them with us. I think that's what it was. I think it was more of a feel-out phase. But I think then maybe they had a clue that they wanted us in there.
You were with the WWE years before Triple H joined the company, and you saw him grow from pretty much a lower mid-carder into obviously the mega superstar that he is right now. How has Triple H changed over the years, and what are your feelings on him?
I knew you guys were going to ask me this too. He had no spot when he first got there, so of course he was humble and doing what he did. But then as he got in that clique and they started getting more power, all of a sudden he's invincible and untouchable. And then he goes and uses the more power he got, the more inventive ear he got, the more powerful he got, and then just behind people's back. That's what he holds most people back is him. It's not anybody's talent, because I mean, if you're even a remote wrestling fan, you can see the talent that's there. It's just that he gets threatened by guys that are better than him. So he just puts a kibosh on everybody. And he's just evil. That's what he is. He's an evil person. That's okay, because evil things happen to bad people anyway.
Were you guys? So obviously you guys, the feelings have changed since your time in DX, because I assume you guys were all good friends when that happened, right?
No, that's a misconception. I mean, we were friends. I mean, it was not friends. It's we worked together, and we did. Me and Road Dogg did what we had to do.
Business partners, right?
And yes, and he did what he had to do, and, you know, he was always in Vince's office, always doing, you know, well, DX doesn't want to do this, we want to do that. Me and Road Dogg never cared. We didn't care. That was so great about the tag team. Me and him did our own thing because we went out there and pleased the people. We weren't into pleasing the people in the office because that came naturally. Because as long as we were putting asses in the seats, they didn't care what we did. You know, but him, on the other hand, he's trying to get jockey for positioning, get power, so he'll go in and say, well, don't let him do this because it's not going to be right and this, that, and the other. I mean, there's a lot of crap that goes on that nobody knows about, you know, and it's wrong. It just is wrong to me.
Mm.
But I mean, that's corporate. I guess, you know, you could say, well, that's corporate America because it's, you know, not only in wrestling, it's in, you know, CEOs of American Express, the same things too, and it does happen, and I realize that. But when you have people that have talent and do their job and do it good, and you still put the knife further in their back to hold them back is wrong to me.
Is the locker room any different from the Attitude Era when things were just, you know, going through the friggin' roof to now?
Well, when you were last there.
The locker room's horrible. It was miserable. Ever since the DX thing and Stone Cold and The Rock and everybody kind of kicked out and it all turned all of a sudden, you know, it went public with the company, the whole nine. It's horrible. You know, everybody just is everybody's miserable there. But they make it that way. And it doesn't have to be because wrestling isn't a job. It's just guys that get to act like little kids and get paid for it. I mean, how much better can that get?
Yeah.
That'd be a great job to have, actually.
Right.
All right, so one of the things that really changed the business in 1998 was when you guys invaded WCW. How cool was that to show up at Turner Enterprises, or whatever you want to call it, with a tank?
Oh, it was great. I mean, how much better does it get when you get to drive a tank down, you know, the main street and pull up to a WCW show and call everybody out and try to get them to come out? I mean, we weren't starting nothing. We were just, you know, talking to the fans and, you know, having a good old time. And that's what was great about the DX stuff and everything. They would do things like that and have fun with it, and that's what was great about it.
Now, I remember, and pretty much everyone was pegging you as the next single star after Triple H left DX, and they gave you a heel turn in '99, and you won the King of the Ring, and you're having a pretty steady push. You were getting over as a heel, and they put you with The Rock, and then you started to get some cheers from the audience. But it was just because I felt that the people enjoyed the character, not because they wanted to turn you face. I felt the office made a huge mistake in turning you face in the fall of '99. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, there again, it's just a political thing. It's somebody that gets over stronger than the guys that they want to get over, so they try to. It's just like, you know, it's kind of like the Lex Luger thing. Remember when they put him on the bus and they just absolutely did everything they could to shove him down people's throats, and they didn't try it. They wouldn't do it because he had no talent. I mean, nothing against Lex. He just wasn't into it. But, you know, when you got guys that have talent and love doing what they do and go out there and do their job and do it really good, for some reason, if it's not the guy they want to push, then they just put the kibosh on it. They just do. I mean, they just don't either put you on TV or they make some excuse. Oh, you're not doing this. You're not doing that. Which is all bull crap. It's all politics, is what it is. And Hunter.
So they actually would can something that would make money just because they would. Because I've heard a lot of things about this creative team from Charlie Haas told us a lot of stuff about them, and it just sounds idiotic. I mean, if you can make money, why not?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the creative team they got are a bunch of people that really don't know wrestling for some reason. I mean, I don't understand how you put, even to the writers. I mean, the writers and creative. I mean, it's almost like they've never seen wrestling, you know, and what they've read about is in a comic book somewhere that, you know, that nobody ever reads. So they don't get it, you know, and they don't get it, and they don't try to work with guys that, you know, if they see them going one direction and it's not really working for them because they don't feel it, they don't pull them out of it. They just go, well, try harder, and all it does is bury them because they don't know what they're doing and nobody can help them with it.
Tess mentioned that he thought that when Russo left the company that it hurt a lot of guys that were coming up. Do you feel that you were one of the guys that might have gotten hurt when Russo left the company?
No, I don't really think so. I don't think that way. I don't think. I mean, Russo was good at what he did. I mean, he was really good. But I mean, it went further than Russo. It went way further than that. And I don't even know what it is actually.
How did you enjoy working with The Rock at SummerSlam '99?
Oh, I loved it. He was so easy. He's easy. You know, he's not one of these guys that you could work and do anything you wanted to with him. I mean, it was fun, and plus he was so over that, you know, it made everything that much easier. You know, when you work guys that are over that much, it makes everything easier, and you're, like, excited because everything you do, the people just go absolutely berserko over. You know, so it makes my job easier. It makes anybody's job easier to work with guys that are that over. But it was fun. It was good. He's easy. Sorry.
It's okay. Did the Assman character originate from that episode of Seinfeld?
No, actually, that was all like a mistake, actually, because Road Dogg was. It's the funniest thing because, you know, usually whenever Road Dogg comes out and talk, whatever he says, people took it as gospel. It was just, you know, because he's so talented and he's so amazing at everything he does that one night he came out. Of course, he always had a live mic and he was pissed off about something. So he's like, "No, you won't. You'll call me Mr. Road Dogg and you'll call him Mr. Ass." And it was like, and that is all he said. I swear that is all he said. The next Monday Night Raw after that, there were signs all through the place calling me Mr. Ass. It was like the weirdest thing. I'm going, thanks, Jeff. Now I'm just marked. Now nobody ever look at me the same now. And I mean, it was good because it was a fun character and it was easy for me to do.
Well, let me bounce this off you. We have somebody working on our site right now in our forums named Lodi, and he ran a character in the WCW that was pretty much like Billy and Chuck ended up being, with the quote-unquote gay gimmick. And there was a group called GLAD that sued WCW and essentially got the characters pulled off TV. Now, one of my favorite things is how Vince played these people when you guys started doing the gimmick and made it so WCW looked ridiculous because they didn't stand up and fight for their guys. What did you think of the character, first of all, and what did you think of the fight that gay organizations put up against you guys?
To me, when they came to me and Chuck about the whole what we were doing anyway, it was kind of a, you know, they were really high on Chuck. They wanted to do something with him. I wasn't doing anything, so they figured, you know, they'll put me with him for a little while and to try to get him seasoned, or try to, you know, get him a little bit better at what he's doing and kind of feel it a little bit more. So we came up with this thing that we'll act like, male strippers or something, because everybody thinks that male strippers are gay, but they're not. They're just, they think they're God's gift to women, the whole nine. So we started off kind of doing that kind of thing, facing the divas. We wanted our own calendar and stuff, and then all of a sudden they just took it another step forward. But the good thing about it, it was something that really in the past has been kind of hard to pull off. I mean, because people just don't buy it and they think it's ridiculous. But for some reason, the way we did it, and the way, the Benzer TV went off with it, people would buy it. And they were like, they had that doubt that, oh my God, you're telling me that's they're gay? but it was just something, a character to do that was fun. Because it's just like, playing a role on TV. You want to play something that's totally not you and see what you can do with it. And we did a good job with it.
So you're telling me you're not gay?
Yeah, no, I'm really not.
I remember Glad sent you a gravy boat on, I believe it was the Today Show. You guys were getting more press than like The Rock at that point.
Yes, exactly. We were on the front page of every newspaper from here. I mean, somebody sent me a paper from Korea that had our pictures on the front of it. I mean, we were in the back of Time magazine, had the whole back page of Time magazine. I mean, it was actually amazing how it took off, how people actually bought it that much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm actually going to backtrack a little bit because James skipped ahead of where I actually wanted to go. But I remember in 2000, after you made your return, when you were sidelined with the, I believe it was shoulder injury, and you came back and you immediately got embroiled in the feud with Eddie Guerrero in China, and eventually you won the Intercontinental title. During that time, there was a whole weird thing with they didn't want to call you Mr. Ass. They started calling you Billy G, the One. What was up with all the nicknames and everything? Can you clear that up for us?
because they were, it was a thing that certain on, like, when they did the weekend shows, it was more cleaned up because it was, so it was already past the kind of, the risky stage, and where Vince all of a sudden cared about what the public thought and had an image to uphold now, and wasn't doing anything else risky or, doing stuff that actually got the company where it was, in the sense of what it was in the 90s. And they were not wanting to call me that because on the weekend shows they couldn't really do anything because they had to keep bleeping the name out and this, that, and the other. So they said, what do you think if we just change your name and do this, that, and, and to me, I don't know, it kind of took something away, I thought, but, but what could I do? I just did my job. That's what they wanted me to do. So I think it was just more of a censor thing and kind of taking away the Mr. Ass thing because it just wasn't TV friendly anymore. How that figured out, I don't know.
I remember, and you also had a nice feud with Eddie Guerrero, and you worked with China. How did you enjoy that portion?
Oh, Eddie's actually is phenomenal. He's actually, probably one of the best workers of all time. I mean, he can work with anybody, do anything with anybody, and he's fun to work. Because he knows, he virtually knows everything and can do anything. So that was great for me, and working China, she was easy because she listened, as long as she trusts you and she trusts me, so, that was okay.
Let me just bounce this off you. I'm going to backtrack a little bit to WrestleMania 14. We interviewed Terry Funk about, 6 months ago, and we mentioned that was a fun match to watch, and he came back with, well, it wasn't fun for me, and he said that he, quote, lost his ass in that match, talking about it tearing his ass cheek or something along those lines. Would you like to talk about that and tell me exactly what's going on?
Yeah, Terry, if you're listening, I'm sorry. Well, he wanted to do this power bombing from the ring apron into the dumpster, and there was, I never saw it, but there was like a 2x4 sticking out of the side for something on the lid or something, so the lid wouldn't go all the way in. And when I picked him, because me and Jess, it was kind of like a double power bomb.
Yeah, we saw it. Yeah, it looked pretty sick going in there too.
Yeah, I mean, and I tried to throw him over as far as I could, but for some reason I think he caught that thing, and it just took. But you know what? The thing about Terry is he never said nothing nor complained because he's probably the toughest individual I've ever seen. Yeah. So it was just like it was just a fluke thing because we never saw that board in there.
Hmm.
But yes, I did do it. I'll take full responsibility for it.
Now, actually, if we can go a year ahead from WrestleMania 14 to WrestleMania 15. Now, everybody and their brother, like Billy Gunn, is going to be involved in the Intercontinental title feud. You were having the good feud, the good little feud with Ken Shamrock, and then Venus wins the title, and they're working towards a three-way. Of course, Road Dogg on the other side was going for the hardcore title. Now, Russo had a tendency to just swerve people for the sake of swerving them. So, for whatever reason, you were given the hardcore title, and Road Dogg was given the Intercontinental title, and all that build-up was completely wasted. Did you feel that all that swerve really hurt WrestleMania 15 as far as, the build-up to the matches that you two were involved in?
Yeah, I mean, I understand what they were doing. I kind of get it. Because it's, so much now in wrestling, everybody knows everything.
Right.
And they think they can sit there and before the match even starts, well, this is what they're going to do here. They're going to try to do this, and then they're going to try to fake us out and do this, but he's really going to win this, and so I understand what they were looking for, but I think in the meantime of trying to swerve the people, they swerved the company.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, but I mean, I understand what they were trying to do. It's just I don't think it came off very well.
Well, there's a funny thing about swerves, and our guest that we just had on Canyon, who worked for WWE for a short time in WCW, said that there's a difference between fans expecting something and fans wanting something.
Yeah.
And that's the problem I think that a lot of the bookers seem to have these days.
Yes, exactly.
Well, speaking of unexpecting something, when you received your release from the WWE, did you expect that to come down the way it did?
No, because I was released on a Monday, which was November 1st, which was my birthday, and that was the first phone call I got.
Oh, wow. So, happy freaking birthday.
Yeah, right, exactly. But the Friday before that, not 2 days before that, I got a phone call from Johnny asking me if I'll go down to OVW and kind of check out the talent, because I do that every now and then. They'd send me down there because they had faith in me that I knew who they could do stuff with and who they couldn't, who they were just wasting time with. and so he called me and asked me if I'd go down, and I said sure, because I'd been off for a little while. So they asked me, well, go down there and just work with some of these kids that we wanted to use and stuff like that. And I said, well, no problem. Okay, just call me when you want me to go, or plane tickets, whatever, let me know. Okay, thanks, I'll get back with you. First thing Monday morning, I get a phone call. He goes, Creative can't really find anything to do with you, and we don't know what to do with you, so we're going to give you a release. Thanks, bye. And that was exactly how it goes.
Wow. And did that ruin your birthday?
You know what? I didn't. Honestly, yeah, it did. It did in a way, but I was trying not to let them, do that, because I know how this kind of business runs. I mean, but for the life of me, I can't understand why they would say that they can't come up with nothing for me. I have a million things they could have done, and it's not like the people were tired of seeing me yet. Yeah, I've been there a long time, but I, still get one of the biggest pops going out there because they knew they were getting something good when they saw me. They were going to get entertained.
Right. I'd agree with that.
Going to have fun. And just, and at least not even offer me an agent's job if they didn't want me to work anymore, then offer me an agent's job or something like that, like they do with people that hadn't even been in the company for a year. And then, I put 13 years, almost 13 years in this company, and, never had any trouble out of me or anything, and then all of a sudden, we can't find out before you goodbye.
Well, whose fault is that, really? Whose fault is it that they can't come up with something for you? Isn't it the writer's fault, not your fault?
That was the excuse. Well, Creative doesn't really know what to do with you. We can't come up with nothing. Thanks, bye, you're released.
Yeah, I mean, that's just...
That fast and simple.
Well, when we talked to Charlie Haas, we always figured, well, if Creative can't find anything for the wrestlers, why don't we find new creative people, since they're not obviously doing their job?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
It's a really messed up world, it's a messed up business that we're involved in, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
Speaking of lapses in creative, why don't we turn to the current tag team scene? And since I think you might have a record for most tag titles of a singles wrestler who's different tag teams. Can you just give us your opinion on the WWE's tag team scene or lack thereof?
Yeah, it's not, New York is a singles, and they put all their concentration on the world titles, both on SmackDown and Raw. They're not a tag division. He puts tags in there just for the simple sake of, because people like them, and they're exciting, and they're different, but they don't put any thought into it. They don't put any energy into it. The only time they put energy into it is when me and Road Dogg had them. Then they were hot. That's the hottest they've ever been, that I can remember. But they were hot because people were interested in what was going on with them. Now they don't. I mean, I couldn't tell you who had them. So they're not a tag team company. They do everything that they do is 90% of their world title and their singles guys, and 10% is to whoever else they want to do something with them.
Fair point. Well, were you surprised at how many times the WWE tried to sue TNA to get them to change your name?
Yeah, you know what? It was all, first of all, they say they're not worried about TNA. They don't care what they do. Background, the name. TNA already kind of got the rights to the New Age Outlaws. And then all of a sudden I hear that a bunch of crap went down, and they got it back, and they released it all because they let it lapse, because I guess they just figured that, we were washed up and, never be heard from again. Thought we'd tuck our tails and run. But, of course, that's not going to happen. But it was just, you hear one thing from them, and then all of a sudden they'll turn right around and do something else, because they are worried about it. It's another company, and it's another organization that people are actually watching because they like it. Because people at TNA, all the guys at TNA have good attitudes. They go out there and they work their tails off, and there's not an hour of talking and an hour of wrestling, or even that. Everybody wrestles, everybody's good, everybody goes out there and tries to tell the best story they can. Of course, you don't have all the time in the world that New York has right now, but at least in the time that they have, the kids go out there and they put everything they have into it, and they really enjoy what they do.
Well, what would you say the difference is between the TNA locker room and the WWE locker room in terms of morale?
Night and day. It's night and day. Because everybody at TNA, all the boys in the TNA, there's not big egos there. I mean, I'm not saying there won't be. I'm not saying there couldn't be, when they really get going. But right now, everybody's striving to make this company work and to make this company go, and be able to go up against Vince and be able to do that. So everybody's got a great head on their shoulders. They're excited. They love to work there. They can't wait for the shows to start, and you can see it back there. On the other hand, when you're in New York, it's just nobody wants to talk to anybody because you don't know who you can trust and who you can't, and then everybody's just miserable. They're just miserable.
And it shouldn't be that way when you're on the top like that.
Right.
What is your opinion of a guy who we've had on the show, and with the exception of Jeff Jarrett, might be the cornerstone of TNA? That's AJ Styles.
He's absolutely remarkable, and he's actually what he lives up to. What his name is, he's phenomenal. He is absolutely. He's an athlete. He's good, and he's like probably one of the most underrated guys there is right now because he doesn't have the exposure that the New York people had. If you were to stick him in New York and kind of put a little bit of push behind him, good Lord, that kid would blow the doors off the place.
We just had Hulk Hogan on the show, and Hulk Hogan was saying, you know, for all my limitations, if I could do a drop kick, I would. If I could do a jump off the splash, I would. But I do it when it meant something. And when I see AJ work, I'm thinking, well, this guy can do that stuff, and he does it when he means something. So this guy could go to the moon.
Yeah, and he could, and he's that talented. I mean, he really hasn't really even showcased his talent because there's almost really nobody that can. I mean, there is guys that are on that same level, but they don't have the time to do what he can really do on TV to give him that much time, and he doesn't have anybody. In my opinion, it's not a bad thing. It's just where the company is right now. He just doesn't have the star power behind him to kind of make him who he needs to be. I mean, he will be there. I mean, I have no doubt about that. He'll probably be one of the next big stars.
So you excited about getting on Spike?
Yeah, I'm excited about getting on the TV station. Period.
yeah,
definitely. And it's not just for me. It's for this whole company, for whole TNA, because they've worked so hard to do it. They've got people in the office that are really excited about it. You know, it's not just another business deal. It's almost like getting a present on Christmas. It's just, you know, everybody's excited. They got it, and they're real enthused, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think Spike will be, you know, extremely pleased. And I think we're going to get every week that we'll get a bigger and bigger audience, and pretty soon, you know, TNA will be a household name.
Would you like to see the Monday Night Wars restart, if possible?
Well, I don't know. I don't know about that. Yeah, maybe later. Maybe later. But I just.
You don't think they're ready yet?
No, they're not ready now because you know back then you had all the components to make you know where people were buying TVs with picture-in-picture because they wanted to watch both shows.
Yes.
You know, because you had in New York you had DX, which was probably the Elite, and Buck and Stone Cold, and then you had Wolfpack over on the other side, and you know that kind of tension because when you try to compare something to that and it doesn't pair up to that, it kind of gives you false hope, or kind of it kind of almost leaves the people like, oh, you know, that's not as, you get that, well, that's not as good as what I remember, you know, DX and the Wolfpack doing, you know, so I almost really would think that would be a bad thing to kind of try to get into that thing. Now, competing with Vince is another thing, you know, product for product should be more in the direction they go.
Yeah, because if you can actually have it.
I don't know if that's kind of the same or if it's, I mean, you guys kind of understand what I'm saying. It's almost like if we were to put DX back together, everybody back together, it would be okay because the people would kind of like it, but they would go, well, where's the invasion stuff? Where are you guys, you know, why aren't you dressing up like everybody and making fun of them and, you know, that kind of thing. So it kind of leaves people going, well, it's good, but it's not as good as it was.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Well, I mean, the thing right now is I think TNA has a lot going for them. I think that right now what they need to do more than anything is prove themselves as a viable alternative.
Yeah.
If you don't want to watch WWE, you don't have to. You can watch TNA and have another option.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that is a better way to put it right there. Yeah.
I don't think you necessarily have to go head to head with them just yet, but down the line, I mean.
I wouldn't because honestly, I think that would kill them off.
Absolutely.
Because it's just the notoriety that Vince has. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just he has the stroke right now. You know, and he has TV everywhere, and you know when it doesn't fail when you watch one of his pay-per-views and he's got 40,000 people in there. It's telling you something.
Yeah, yeah. It's they're not doing poorly at all right now. So.
No.
All right. Well, before we close that, can we just give you a couple word associations? And if you have a one-word answer, that's fantastic. If you want to give a story, feel free to do that as well.
Okay.
All right. The first name on the list is B.G. James.
The best ever, talented as I would try to do him in one word, but you just can't.
Yeah.
He's just unbelievable, and he's a very good friend of mine, and he's extremely talented.
How about the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels?
Work-wise and charisma-wise, very, very talented.
How about somebody that we mentioned a little bit ago, just because your reaction was kind of funny that you started laughing? How about Hulk Hogan?
Respected.
Mm-hmm. How about Bart Gunn? Bart Gunn.
Very good friend of mine, and extremely tough. So I'm not going to say anything bad about him because he just called me. He just called me a minute ago, and he'll probably listen to your show and try to beat me up or something.
He's a big tough guy. I wouldn't want to make him mad.
How about Stephanie McMahon?
Daddy's little girl.
How about Jeff Jarrett?
Brilliant.
Brilliant. And how about I think I got one more. Eric, do you have any?
I have just one more.
All right, you go first.
All right, I have a guy that you worked with quite a bit in DX, and that would be Sean Waltman or X-Pac, whatever you want to call him.
He's a great guy and makes me laugh because he's funny. But,
all right, and then the last one is, of course, your former boss, Vince McMahon.
He knows wrestling, and he's a great business guy, a good business guy. Just a little harsh.
No, harsh. All right. Well, we can't thank you enough. Is there anything you'd like to plug real quickly? Anything that's on your mind? Anything you want to say to your fans?
Just, if people haven't caught TNA, just have patience. We'll be on Spike soon, and if you get a chance, please watch it and check out the website. And I promise you, if you're tired of all the talking and all that stuff, watch TNA because these guys are really, really good. And it's not just because I work there. It's just because I really believe in this company, and I believe that everybody there does the best for its viewers and its audiences when we have them at Universal. And even people that don't know wrestling, when they watch it at Universal, they're just amazed because these guys are really good, and they give it all they got, and it's all for the fans.
Absolutely.
And thank all my fans, too, for sticking with me because, I've done a couple radio shows and internet stuff, and people are always real positive and still wanting to see me around. So I will stay around as long as people let me, and I always promise you that I will always do my best.
Well, thank you for staying around as long as you have with us on this show. We really appreciate your time, and we hope you have a great day and enjoy your rest of the day with your kids.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me on the program.
Thank you. Have a great day, man.
Hey, this is Chris Jericho of Fozzy, and you're listening to the Interactive Interview. And remember, we are huge rock stars.
And we are back here on the Wrestling Epicenter on the Blaze, 1260 AM. James Walsh, tell us a little about that interview we just heard.
There was a great interview.
Why don't you try that again, buddy?
You're pretty ticked off at me because I embarrassed you in front of Francine.
Oh, you did not embarrass me, brother.
I embarrassed you. You were so red-faced. You told me you were going to slap me if I didn't stop it.
Dude, I don't get red-faced.
Sure. You're Irish. You automatically do.
I'm not Irish.
Oh, you're Scottish. Sorry.
Anyway, why don't you just try and tell us about the interview?
The interview was tremendous. Kip James could have been nicer. He actually did that interview, I don't know if you guys caught that, while he was sitting on the football field watching his little kids play Little League football, so whatever it's called. What is it called? Pee Wee League?
Yeah, about the interview. Was it a good interview? Was he a good guy to talk to? Did you feel like he was insightful?
He was very insightful. You'll hear the entire interview on WrestlingEpicenter.com. That was about 10 minutes of it. Tremendous interview. Great guy. Funny. Thought I was funny, which I love, because people don't usually find me funny. At least
I can't imagine why.
Well, I'm a funny guy. I'm a fun guy. I'm a freaking mushroom. Yay! And Chuck D is intentionally trying to kill that joke by not saying it.
I'm not killing any joke. I didn't get it, bro. So let's move right along here. Obviously, Kip James is now working with TNA.
He's
They're
now,
going to be making,
not.
I said he's now working with TNA. They're going to be making their Spike TV debut here coming up in the next month or two. They're going to be taking over, a Saturday night time slot. I believe the Velocity time slot. I want to talk a little bit about TNA for just a minute. And at this time, we'd also like to open up the phone lines. 480-965-1260 is the number. We invite anyone who's listening to call in and give us your thoughts on this. This is kind of our free-for-all. Feel free to call in time. We're just going to talk about a few little odds and ends here. We'd also like to thank Francine for joining us once again. You can check her out at foreverfrancine.com and MissyHyde@FrancineTV.com. We also want to thank Tylene Buck for joining us. She's now joined our official forums. Why don't you tell a little bit about that, James?
Of course, Tylene Buck, also known as Major Guns, who was with us early in the program, has joined our forums, joining people in the likes of Marty Jannetty, the likes of Lodi, the likes of The Stro, the likes of Amber O'Neill, the likes of Simply Luscious, the likes of the Queen of Extreme, Francine. She's in good company there. We got a lot of beautiful women on our forums, dude.
Hey, there's no other way to go. At this time, we got Mike on the line, man. It was real quick. Mike, you with us?
Yeah.
See, we open the line to callers, and bam. Just like that, they're here.
Like Emerald Lagasse.
Did you get a chance to listen to that Kip James interview, Mike?
Yeah, I did.
What'd you think of that, man?
I think it was okay. I mean, I'm glad to see Kip James. Seriously, I still don't understand that name. It's kind of weird to me, no offense. But I'm kind of glad to see him. Huh?
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, Kip James. Blech. Okay. I'm glad to see him on TNA. I'm ever since July, I've been starting to watch TNA myself, and I can't actually wait for the Spike TV deal.
Oh, who can? I mean, we need an alternative wrestling source, and quite frankly, I'm not bored enough in my life to sit down and watch it on the internet, but if you tell me that it's going to be on this time at night, maybe I can arrange my schedule to actually go and watch it. But for an internet show, I'm sorry, I just can't do it.
I tend to agree with you. Mike, you still with us, buddy?
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right, man. I agree with you. I don't have the time nor the inclination to go ahead and download that show. That's kind of a situation is that when they were on Fox Sports, whatever, Fox Sports Net or whatever they want to call themselves,
FSN,
that when they were kind of phasing it out and getting ready to do the internet as they were waiting to get a TV deal, I found myself kind of disenfranchised with the whole situation. They had a lot of top stars, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall,
and
Jeff
they
Jarrett.
slit their throats.
And I never saw those guys wrestle on TV, and I couldn't think to myself, why am I even watching this?
Here's the weird thing, though. I've been watching it for like 2 months, and it's been better I have never seen anyone pull any cool moves that I've seen in my life. I mean, I love WWE, and I always will love WWE, but TNA has got my attention a lot now.
Well, I'll tell you what, TNA does have a niche, and here's why. Matt Hardy on Raw had to ask for permission to do a moonsault because they think that's too dangerous of a move. Now, with the X Division, you got guys doing moves that, like a moonsault, would be considered pretty basic. And these guys do such intense and high-flying motions that there's going to be a percentage of the wrestling fan that likes the smaller guys, that likes the high-flying stuff, that's going to say, TNA.
Well, I'll be honest with you. If I got to sit there and watch a 45-minute Triple H promo, or if I can watch Christopher Daniels and AJ Styles go one-on-one in a match, I'll tell you what, I'm damn for sure picking AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels.
Yeah, definitely. You should have saw they're called Sacrifice not long ago.
Yeah, that was their last pay-per-view, right, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, the best match. It was probably the best match of the year, Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles. They made it look so real.
I'm going to say something right here that's probably not popular with the majority of people. I'm not a big Samoa Joe fan. I don't really see what this guy brings to the table necessarily. I think anyone that wrestles AJ Styles is going to look like it's the match of the year because AJ Styles is that damn good. Samoa Joe, he gets a lot of hype. I mean, we had Mick Foley on the show. He sang his praises. I don't see it. But, Mike, we got to let you off the phone, buddy, so we can let some other people call in. We appreciate you taking time out of your day to give us a call and listen to the show.
Sure, no problem.
All right, boss. Have a good one.
That was an excellent call from Mike from California. We're all over the globe here at the Wrestling Epicenter featuring the interactive interviews.
Once again, guys, feel free to call in. The number is 480-965-1260. We got a little bit of time left here in our open forum before we jump on over and discuss SmackDown. So hurry up and get your phone calls in.
Whatever you want to discuss, bring it up to me, the brain.
Yeah, I'd like to actually have someone call in and try and stump James Walsh if they could with a little bit of wrestling trivia or something like that.
We can make that a contest. Maybe we can get some stuff to give away.
I think I could probably scrounge something to give away.
Yeah, maybe we can like find a way to maybe give a membership up to a pay site or something.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we could do something, but yeah, man, if you're going to give us a call right now, 480-965-1260, now is the time to call before we move into our SmackDown. And even at that point, you guys can feel free to call in because, you know, we'll let you discuss SmackDown with us. We're those kind of guys. But going back to this whole TNA situation.
We got it like that.
I don't necessarily understand, too, why they knew they were going to get ready for this TV debut and they got rid of the likes of a DDP. You know, Scott Hall, whether you love him or hate the guy or whether he's fallen off the wagon or not, he's still valuable to have. He's a good name value and he's still a good worker. I mean, he's still worthwhile to have on their first show. Roddy Piper worked with the company. Where's he now? Gone.
Dude, I gotta tell you, Scott Hall is the biggest waste of talent ever in the wrestling business. If it was not for his inability to get back on the wagon and stay there, he would be a world champion in the WWE. He's that damn talented, but he threw his life away on alcohol.
Well,
And
dude, that's not
just-
like a personal choice. The dude obviously had some trouble. Alcohol
I don't
is
believe
an
that.
addiction, dude.
I don't believe that it's addiction. I don't buy that.
Well, what do you think it is?
I believe that there's a such thing as self-discipline, and people need to exercise it a little bit more.
No.
Example, I'm not fat because I don't eat too many cupcakes. I exercise self-discipline. I'm not an alcoholic because I don't drink too much beer.
Well, I mean, maybe that's a fair point. I tend to disagree with you. I think obviously Scott Hall knows that he's talented. I think all the fans realize Scott Hall's talented and could be an asset to any company that is currently holding a wrestling promotion. But obviously, you know, it's more than that particular individual can handle. And you know, I don't hold any animosity to him. But I also think that companies giving him a shot and putting him in a poor situation like the WWE did by having Stone Cold Steve Austin pour beer on him is probably not the best way to go about it.
That was positively ridiculous. I can't believe they even did that. But Scott Hall, like I said, was a big waste of talent. Unfortunately, you really can't keep a guy under contract if he's getting drunk to the point that he has to have his stomach pumped at your TV tapings.
Well, nonetheless, I would try and work. I mean, TNA is not even far from this dude's house. I'm sure they could work on an agreement, and I think it's better for a guy like Scott Hall to be in wrestling versus out of wrestling. And I don't even want to get off on a whole tangent here about Scott Hall. That's a whole topic and segment within itself. What I'm trying to say is the main focus here is that TNA, in my opinion, has made some mistakes. Monty Brown isn't even back under contract with the company yet, and they got a television debut on a major cable network coming up, and they don't even have this guy locked down. If it were me, I say Monty Brown is going to be the future of TNA. You push him hard as hell, and you get that guy locked down under contract.
I told you this from day one. You strap a rocket to Monty Brown's ass and you send him to the moon. That guy is the star. He's got the look. He can talk. He can work. I'd have him go out there the first show on Spike and pounce everybody.
Well, and you got to think of it this way. This dude's got mass appeal. He played NFL. He's a bona fide mainstream. He's begging to cross over to mainstream.
And we've seen him already on Fox Sports Net, and he handled himself tremendous. He handled himself better than Jeff Jarrett, who's been doing this for 25 years. He's a bona fide superstar that's ready and willing to go right now. So let's let him roll, man. Let's let him roll.
Well, I agree with you, man. This guy's been on the Best Damn Sports Show period. Did you just say that?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I mean, this dude is sorry, guys. I had to answer the phone real quick. Which reminds me, we got Dynamite Kid on the phone. Dynamite, man. How's it going, brother? Oh, I guess I don't have mine yet. Now I got him on.
Woo!
Hey, you there with us, buddy?
I'm here. What's going on, guys?
We're trying to talk about Monty Brown here and this whole TNA situation coming up. We don't really spend a lot of time on them that often, but we're trying to say here is that TNA's made a few mistakes, man. They've had a lot of big names come through the doors. They've let go, and they're on the verge of letting another one go in Monty Brown right now, which is the guy that should be shouldering the load of that company and bringing them to the next level.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, absolutely. I mean, I personally, I really think they're gonna have a bigger impact than what people are giving them credit for. I think fans are thirsty for an alternative right now. I mean, they might, you know, it might hurt them if they let this guy go, but by the same token, I think that the WWE product is growing so stale on all levels that I just think curiosity is just gonna pull people right over to TNA. I think they're gonna do pretty good.
I think that's a valuable point, but TNA's not looking to get something short-term. At least I hope they're not. They need to look, you know, down the line toward the future. It's this whole hotshot booking which has caused problems within the WWE. So you got to take this opportunity right now when it's in front of you. They're starting fresh, clean slate. They're going to be, opening themselves up to a whole new slew of viewers that they have not previously reached. And you need to have a guy and a plan set for that guy. I like Raven. Do I see him as carrying that company for a few years to come? I don't.
Yeah.
Raven's
I'm not much of a Ravens fan. I kind of think Ravens a little overhyped, to be honest.
I gotta agree with you, man.
I gotta say this. 2 years ago when they were still doing the Wednesday night pay-per-views, they had a match between Jeff Jarrett and Raven, and the build-up to that match was so good that they had to turn away roughly 2,000 fans that could not fit in the arena that they had scheduled. Now, that was a hell of a build-up, especially for a company that really only had pay-per-view access at that point, and internet to a point, but internet really doesn't do a lot for me in terms of how much advertising it really does. But let me go back to my point, though. The time for Raven to be world champion was 2 years ago. Right now, he's been buried for the past 2 years. He was buried in the WWE. To me, he just does not seem like a viable main event superstar. And I think if they have him carrying the strap, and it appears he will, going into the debut on Spike, I think it's going to be a bad thing for the company.
Don't get me wrong, I don't want in any way, shape, or form put down Raven, but I'm telling you what, you look at Monty Brown, you look at him the same way you look at like a Dave Bautista. You see this guy, you think in real life he could whoop my monkey ass, and he could. And so he is viable as a star. Just for that reason alone. And not to mention, I love Batista. Currently, I think he's one of the best things going on WWE TV, but Monty Brown can outwork him. I mean, bottom line.
Right. But I mean, Batista's got a way to go, but I kind of think he hasn't had the right opponent. I mean, let's face it, I kind of think Triple H made him shine in the matches that they had. I mean, not to take anything away from him, because he definitely has improved. I do recall having conversations when he was in Evolution and watching him wrestle, like, man, he just is so boring in the ring. He has no mic skills. And his mic skills isn't that good now. But, I mean, I don't think they've really given him a good opponent yet on SmackDown to really let him shine. Personally, I like to see Batista go heel and get a deal with The Undertaker going.
Hey, we actually had him at an interview, which I'm sure you're aware of, and he mentioned that would be probably one of his all-time favorite matches if he could get in the ring with The Undertaker. But going back to Batista and the way these things run, I've said this time and time again, so I'm going to repeat myself here just for the sake of doing it, because I like to hear myself talk. But it's not Batista's fault at this point in time. I don't mean to sound like Snitsky or nothing.
It wasn't his fault.
When they send him out there, they say, here's what you have to do. You need to no-sell this move. You can't do this arsenal of moves. And we had Sean O'Hare on. I don't know if you ever heard that interview, man. But Sean O'Hare said it just like this. There's certain guys they're not going to let do certain moves because of politics. And we obviously heard Francine talk about this. Dave Bautista may be able to do, German suplexes, belly-to-belly suplexes. He may be able to do a moonsault. Bottom line is this. If you see Batista going out there and doing a moonsault, everything that Paul London does, everything that Billy Kidman had done, all these things then look that much less impressive.
And this is the reason why I hate Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, Brock was overhyped, too. I mean, he was good, but a perfect example of guys that with moves that, they don't do, that I think it harms their character is the Big Show. I think he sells way too much. You remember Andre back in the day. Andre didn't sell for nobody. And if he did, it was meaningful. The Big Show takes way too many bumps for a guy that huge. Like you said earlier in the show, I mean, you can put him in the spotlight. He can be a main event guy. But they have him bumping for everybody. It's stupid.
Here's what I'm going to do. Hold on 1 second, man. We're going to let James Walsh respond to that quick comment about Andre, then we're going to break. I invite you to stay with us to talk a little SmackDown with us, man. Are you cool with that?
Absolutely. I got something to stump James with.
Okay, well, give us 1 minute. We're just going to let him respond to Andre. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back, and we'll get right into that, okay?
Absolutely.
So just stay right on the line for us, buddy.
Sure.
When we were talking to Francine mentioned that they just don't know what they're going to do with the Big Show. And the bottom line is they can't do anything with the Big Show that would be new or different, because when it was Andre went from territory to territory and was a massive guy. And every time you saw him, you were just awestruck. But the bottom line is we've seen him for the past 10 years. It's not new. It's not refreshing. It's just overhyped. And the bottom line is once you get picked up by everybody and their brother, nobody's going to care if you get picked up again.
Right on. And we're going to take a quick break at this point in time. We get Dynamite Kid from our forums on the phone. We got James Walsh here. We got your boy Chuck D here. We're going to take a quick break. We're coming back, and we're going to talk SmackDown here on the Wrestling Epicenter, only on The Blaze, 1260 a.m.
The Blaze, 1260 a.m.
Yo, maniacs, this is Hulk Hogan, the greatest of all time, and you're listening to The Blaze, 1260 a.m. So what you going to do when Hulk Hogan in Blaze-a-Mania runs wild on you?
what are you going to do? We're here to talk a little bit about SmackDown, which emanated this Thursday night, the second to last Thursday night SmackDown that there will be before they go to Friday nights. Coming up real soon, we got Dynamite Kid on the line. It's James Walsh, joined as always by Chuck D here on the Blaze, DAM, and the Wrestling Epicenter.
SmackDown started out with a bang. We had my favorite personally right now on all of WWE programming. Randy Orton, his father was Cowboy Bob, coming out, talking a lot of trash, man, about The Undertaker. Dynamite, you still with us, buddy?
I'm here.
All right, just want to make sure you're still on the line, man. And then we have led to our Randy Orton versus Hardcore Holly. I don't know if Hardcore Holly gets enough credit. I really don't like Hardcore Holly, to be completely honest with you, but the dude still has some good matches. Well, I'll tell you what. In Dynamite Kid, man, I hope you agree with me on this. Did you ever watch the Tough Enough series?
The Tough Enough? Yeah, I did. Not so much the second season, but I did watch the first one pretty good.
Did you see when Bob Holly beat up Matt Capitelli?
That wasn't cool, man.
That's what I'm saying.
I do it again. I do it myself. You got to teach this kid a lesson. You don't know why he might have done it. People really don't know why he could have done that. He could have done that because he saw something in the kid, and he wants him to realize, guess what, kid? This ain't ballet.
But going back here to this match, Randy Orton's the one guy here that I see going to be able to carry the WWE at this point in time. I see John Cena having a bright, long future, but as far as actually being able to be kind of in the vein of a Triple H, where he has some mainstream appeal, but he is the glue that holds the company together, that's going to be Randy Orton on the line. John Cena is going to be like The Rock, where he can cross over, come back, draw money. But, and I'll tell you what.
John Cena is going to be like Mountain Rock and burn out in 6 months.
Do you hear the negativity I got to deal with Dynamite? It's tough, man.
You want to know one reason why I think Cena has a lot of appeal? It's because hip hop appeals to most people today. It's what James spoke about this on the forums once. It's really what's considered cool or what's in.
Yes, but 5 years ago, so were boy bands considered cool and what's in. So the bottom line is, you guys can deny it all you want. Rap is a fad. Rap, and when fads die, people hate things that were associated with the fad.
You hear what I got to deal with, dude? It hurts
when that
happened, I would have to disagree only because people said rap was a fad when it came out in the 80s. And
people said rap was a fad.
And it's faded out and come back and faded out and come back.
Someday we're going to have a special show. I'm going to have James Walsh on the Rap Attack, which I do on Fridays 2 to 4. We're going to have it out with him, dude. I'm going to have to bury him live on the air.
You could never bury me live on the air. I could match you word for word.
I don't have an option at this point in time. But we then saw the Peep Show with Christian. He was in his wrestling gear. He talked about having to clean up his set after what the Mexicools did last week. He brought on his guests, Booker T and Charmel. Not a bad segment yet again, my man. Peep Show delivering on SmackDown.
So says you.
Christian is just completely underused. I would have never sent him over to SmackDown, and I would have put the IC strap on him. Even though I do like Carlito, Christian is absolutely the most underused wrestler on that roster. And when
the IC strap,
oh yeah,
screw the IC strap. I'll tell you what I do. I'd put the heavyweight title right on this guy in a second. He's the second coming of Shawn Michaels right here in his prime. This kid may not be the biggest guy you saw, but he'll work circles around 90% of the WWE roster, and he's got more talent in his pinky than 99% of the WWE roster as far as talking on the mic and actually having a character and being able to feel what the crowd is doing.
I love Christian.
Same old song and dance, Chuck.
Well, again, remember how I said in the beginning of the show when we're talking about people like Eugene, how fans have no other way to get their point across? I think I speak for a lot of the people who are wrestling fans. And the difference is that I have actually a forum to speak my mind. I'll tell you what, every fan, I'm making a plea right here, man. When you go to a Raw event or a SmackDown event or any house show where you see a guy that you think should be pushed, don't boo him because he's a heel. Cheer him when he's a heel. Do whatever it takes to make management stand up and take notice that this guy needs to be pushed, whether or not they think so or not. You're the guy that's paying your money to see this product. And obviously, people, don't want to see people like a Bob Holly. They want to see someone like Christian who's actually good. Get him in there.
You just said 5 minutes ago you think Bob Holly's underrated.
Well, I said he's not that bad. We're not talking he's in the same league as Christian, for
That's
Christ's
what
sakes.
you would call using a bad example, Chuck D.
Well, okay, I'll tell you what. It's like Big Show. I want to see Christian more than I want to see Big Show.
I'd agree with that statement. That's good.
I'd rather see Christian more than the Mexicools. I'd rather see him sometimes more than I'd rather see JBL. Actually, no. Screw that. I'd rather see him every time instead of JBL. JBL, he's done. You're old news, buddy. You get up, get out.
I disagree.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I was at the show at the Garden when the Hulkster came back, which, by the way, was just a complete surreal moment. And Christian, when he came out and cut a little promo and called John Cena Marky Mark. I mean, the whole garden just completely went nuts. And, I can't understand why you would not use this guy. Rightfully use him.
Oh, they gave JBL a hell of a push. They gave him a 1.5-year push, so... Oh, are we talking about Christian, or...?
No, I'm talking about
Christian. Oh,
came out and
get with the program, James. I'm sorry.
The pop he got at the Garden, I mean...
Oh, yeah.
And let me tell you something. I mean, not because I'm from New York, but the Garden is basically the gauge of what's going on. It's the home of the company.
They know what's going on in New York City.
Hey, all of us people from New York, man, we're geniuses.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, they completely popped for Christian. Like
People from New Jersey, they suck ass.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're from Syracuse, New York, Bal.
Hey, it's still New York, buddy. You're from New Jersey.
You might as well be a Farmer Bill from Texas, okay? You're from Syracuse, New York.
Farmer Bill from Texas?
Yeah, I'm right across the river. I'm 3 minutes from New York City. I spent more time in the city than you ever did.
You want a cookie?
Yes, I do.
Well, that's too bad. I ain't got none, dude. Shut your mouth.
I'd actually like some air conditioning.
Yeah, tell me about it, right?
Oh, man, it's real muggy down here in New York.
Well, it's like 118 here. We don't have any air conditioning in the studio.
That's not bad.
But life goes on. Why don't we talk a little bit about this main event? We had Batista, Rey Mysterio, and Chris Benoit taking on Eddie Guerrero, John Bradshaw, Layfield with Orlando Jordan. It appears like we're going to see John Bradshaw, Layfield, a.k.a. JBL, taking on Orlando Jordan, probably at the next SmackDown pay-per-view, correct?
Probably. Don't care.
I'm actually a mark for Orlando Jordan, to be honest. I just think the only thing that drives me nuts, his tights do not go with his gimmick.
I'm telling you what, dude. You and I seem to agree on a lot here, but I'm going to have to switch sides here and go with James Walsh. I don't think Orlando Jordan has much to offer.
No?
I really don't.
I thought he did when he first won the U.S. title, and I still don't think it's his fault.
I don't know if it's his fault or not. He's given a substantial push at points in time. He's just not really done anything with it. He's lost credibility to the U.S. title, which I'm glad he finally did lose. But for all that time, it went down in value when he had it.
Yeah, but they never had him defending the belt.
Well, because he wasn't able to carry a good match.
Well, that's your opinion. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that.
My opinion is law, buddy.
All right, yeah.
That's the bottom line. But, yeah, another good match. Anytime you get a guy like, Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, and Batista out there, you know it's going to be phenomenal. Obviously, JBL is not going to be in the same league as far as wrestling abilities, these guys. Orlando Jordan didn't do bad either. If I'm remembering this correctly, it was Orlando Jordan that got pinned, correct? Yeah, that was the whole reason that they made this Orlando Jordan in it, because they see that this guy doesn't have a huge future. So they're going to say, okay, we're going to get a good main event here, which I don't really like tag team main events in general, but they say we're going to get a big main event out here. We're going to put Orlando Jordan out there with these other guys. We're going to toss him in simply for the fact that we can pin him, and it does not matter.
Yeah. I don't know that I agree with that. I actually think you're wrong.
Well, speak on it then, dude.
Orlando Jordan's a fine worker.
Can I do a quick example of James Walsh?
Yeah.
Just for everyone listening?
Yeah.
Well, I don't agree with that. Wow, dude. Hey, we're on the radio, buddy. That means you talk.
All right. Well, let me tell you. I don't agree with you on what you're saying, because I think Orlando Jordan did not have a forum to show his talents. And the way that you kill a division, and the reason that the cruiserweight division's dead, is because you only put the belt on the line. You only show the belt when it's on the line. That's what killed the cruiserweight division.
Who's the cruiserweight title right now?
Paul London?
Nah, it's Nunzio. You didn't even know the title changed hands.
Well, while we're on that topic, what is your trivia question?
What's the only belt in WWF history that can switch hands on a countout?
Ooh, hey now.
Ooh.
Hey now.
Hey now. Hey now.
Well, hey, again, we're on radio, buddy. It's
all right, well,
thing here.
Keep going, and I'll give you an answer by the end of it while I type on my little computer.
Well, considering we only have about a minute left,
well,
the
keep
sooner
going.
the better.
Was that the main event? That was the main event, wasn't it?
Yes, dude.
I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and say the hardcore title.
No, it's the $1 million belt.
Oh, he's coming out the cup.
Well,
stumping you.
I'm going to tell you what.
First time we do this, you get
stumped,
stumped,
what's
dude.
Funny? Because when I was watching WrestleMania 6 and Jesse Ventura mentioned it, and the minute he said it, I said, you know what? They should do a stump the host kind of thing, and I'm going to call in, and I bet you I get somebody with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Thought it was a pretty good little trivia fact.
I'm James Walsh. I know everything that's wrestling. Let me take my collar. Hey, you want to stump me? I don't know the answer.
Well, Chuck D's trying to get even with me because I embarrassed him with Francine earlier.
Francine loves me, and I love her. It's okay.
I love her too. We're all a happy family here at the Wrestling
No,
Epicenter.
dude, I'll tell you what. When I love a girl, you are the farthest thing from the picture in that whole scenario, dude. You're miles and miles and miles
You do understand
away.
that we're on the air right now, don't
I
you?
hear what you're saying, dude, and even thinking about you being in the picture, if we're all a happy family, dude, you're cooking crack. You and I are not family, bro.
We are family. I got all my brothers with me.
I'm not your brother. I'm not your sister. I'm not your mother, your father, your daddy, your grandmother, your grandfather. I'm Chuck D. You live a good 45 minutes away from me. I see you once a week to do a radio show. It's fine with me.
And you call me at 3 in the morning to make sure I never get a good night's sleep.
Well, because you got work to do, man.
That's the job of a brother, dude. That's the job of a brother.
Dude.
You're my brother.
Dynamite Kid, man, we appreciate you calling
You're
in,
my
right,
brother
buddy?
from another mother.
You hear
Not
this
a
kid, dude?
problem, guys.
I hate rap music. You're my brother from another mother. Kind of sounds like a few rap songs I've heard, man. We appreciate you calling, and hopefully we'll speak to you next week. All
That
right,
sounds
buddy?
like every rap song I've heard.
Yes,
All right.
absolutely, definitely.
Have a good one, man.
Guys.
Hey, guys, we are all out of time here on the Wrestling Epicenter. For James Walsh, it's your boy Chuck D. We'll be back next Wednesday, 8:30 to 10. We're going to have a good surprise interview for you guys next week. I don't think it's ever been done before anywhere that I've heard, dude.
Well, let's just hope it happens, but I'm pretty sure it will.
Yeah, I think we're good to go on this one, guys. It's all but confirmed. It's going to be huge. I'm telling you, you've not heard this interview anywhere else on the internet, on live radio. It's the Wrestling Epicenter, man. You know how we do it. We get Hogan, we get Batista. Any big name, we got it. We got to go right now. Hey, Teal, man, what do you got coming up next for us, buddy? Oh, Teal's got a legal ID. I guess he's going to do a radio show after us, too, that doesn't have a name.
This was literally just sprung on me last night or this morning, so I do apologize. Just when you thought you got enough of me during the daytime, now you're going to get me at night, also on Wednesday. It's Teal Norman, Gay Man on Campus, and I'll be right back right here on the Blaze 1260, Arizona's original alternative.
Now that's a sign-off if I ever heard one.
That is some kind of sign-off. You said, I'm Gay Man on Campus.
All right.
I'm at ASU. What do you think about that?
That's great.
Guys, we're out of here out of
Whatever
time.
floats your
We'd
boat,
like
man.
to thank Francine for calling in, as well as Tylene Buck, Billy Gunn, a.k.a. Kip James. Man, we appreciate all the fans for tuning in to us. And we're going to try and do better the next time, not to steal a line from Pardon the Interruption. We're going right here with, I guess, Gay Man on Campus.